Welcome into McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Having a little technical difficulty to start the show off this morning, getting everybody connected. As a guys, it's week one for everybody. Both Cole and Greg had calls over the weekend. Then Cole had read and react. Greg's got a couple get up hits this morning, so he'll be bouncing in and out throughout the show. But of course, the big news over the weekend with Alabama falling to Florida State, still trying to dissect and piece together exactly what the issue is and how do you fix it. Now, you don't have those question marks on the Auburn side of things because they went out there, handled their business. If there's any question marks you have, it's probably the secondary. But a lot of the game kind of dictated that because you did have a lead and Baylor was in throw-it mode, and they had success with it. And then to find out some things with Auburn, we had a chance to hear from Hugh Freeze. He had this press conference yesterday, so did Kalen DeBoer, and kind of two different tones with both coaches. And I think for Hugh Freeze, you kind of got the feeling of, okay, last Friday, you got the full gamut because everything I think coming into the season, all the question marks that we had on Auburn kind of got erased because I think that, especially on the defensive side of the ball, the front seven, and you hear Coach Hugh Freeze discuss the defensive line, that they really controlled the trenches. And I think on both sides of the ball, to be honest, when you look at offensively, it's something that we have been wanting to see because we didn't get a chance to see it with Jarquez Hunter in the backfield last season in certain situations. But the commitment to running the football. And, you know, the most success that Auburn's really had over the past 15, 20 years, and you go back to especially Gus Malzahn era, it was the commitment to running the football and to take a lot of the pressure off the quarterback. As long as you kind of just handle your business, it never really felt like it was that big of an issue. But then, you know, when Hugh Freeze comes in and the offensive system's a little bit different, it's kind of unique. But I think that what we saw from the Baylor matchup, again, Auburn knocks off Baylor 38-24. It was one, Jackson Arnold. I will even say this. I didn't know that Jackson Arnold had that much juice with him in the run game. And the actual wiggle, the actual speed that he has was kind of on full display. And he truly took the green grass when he had it. It wasn't kind of one of those, wait around, go through progression. It was, all right, first, second, third read ain't there. Let me get what I can get. And they made explosive plays. And when they called true quarterback design runs, he was able to, break things open. So I think for Auburn, you have to feel really optimistic on what you saw. The question about the offensive line and the success that they were going to have, it was on full display on Friday night. And again, that Baylor team was a pretty good football team. And Dave Aranda was able to kind of diagnose some things, disguise some things, but Auburn had an answer for it majority of the time. So I think that for Auburn, that was good to put on tape. And now the biggest thing for them going into week two, and again, I understand that it's Ball State across the other side, but you still have to maintain this level of consistency to truly feel confident of what you're going to look at when SEC conference play opens up. So, again, you handled your business against Baylor week one, and you kind of had a good identity of, all right, Hugh Freeze forgot the stubbornness. He was just like, you know what? I can't get greedy. I have to be patient. Let me just focus on, okay, if they can't stop us on first down from getting 7-8 yards, say no more. We're not going to overthink these things, and we're going to continue to run the football and to have the balance that you did. When your quarterback has 16 carries, both your running backs get 16 carries, a lot of spreading of the wealth. And I understand a lot of people wanted to see, and even I will say this. I mean, I'm a receiver at heart, so I wanted to see what the receivers are going to look like. But when the game plan, the flow of the game didn't necessarily say that we need to throw this thing all over the yard, so be it. That's where I say the receivers are the most selfless positions on the football field because they had to, eat it. We're running dummy routes. Like we're kind of just going with the flow of, all right, I know I'm not going to get the ball on this play, but if my running back is getting 7, 8, 9 yards a pop, by God, and we win in the football game, hey, do what I need to do. And The development of, what Eric Singleton is able to present with the versatility that he has of getting him the ball in any sort of way, whether that's, jet motion, screens, get him open across the middle. Of course, Cam Coleman had some great catches. Malcolm Simmons stepped up. Horatio Fields, of course, with that big catch there in the ball game. So the weapons that we thought that we were going to see on full display, we got it on Friday night. And I think that's kind of the rolling of the snowball effect for what Auburn could potentially be in this season. And I think, after week one, for a lot of teams across the SEC, there's still a few question marks. Now, you go look at the number one ranked team in the nation in Texas. All offseason, it was, okay, yeah, Arch Manning this, Arch Manning that. I was under the impression of, hey, can we just wait and see? Like, of course, the last name carries a lot of weight, but he also hadn't been thrown in the fire. He had never been in the driver's seat of that Bugatti that is the Texas Longhorns. And then you saw on Saturday what that looked like against Ohio State, and he looked like a deer in headlights. He looked like when he came in for Quinn Ewers against Georgia the first time they played there in Austin last year, where it's like, whoo, okay, the moment may actually be a little too big for a second. Hey, Conrad, can you come in for a second as well? We're not gonna pile in. I'm not gonna pile on Alabama. We're just kind of taking a look at just the SEC as a whole, and we'll see where it goes. So when we return, we'll see what it's looking like across the SEC. Get a chance to hear from Cole Cubelic as he hops in. Keep it locked right here on Jox.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Tuesday, September the 2nd, as we head towards week 2 of college football. Your thoughts on how Alabama can bounce back this weekend. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. 800-239-WJOX. You can also text into the show if you want to be a part that way. 205-834-9450. We did not get to a lot of other SEC games yesterday. We'll get to some of those today, how other teams looked, other aspects of their teams looked. We also didn't hear from Kalen DeBoer yesterday. Didn't hear from Hugh Freeze. We'll get to some of that audio from after the game. Kalen DeBoer saying that he was disappointed in the effort that the Crimson Tide showed.
We're certainly disappointed in some effort situations that happened. I think they came in different ways, and some of it's just flat out got to pursue, got to get there, and it surprises you sometimes when it happens, especially with certain guys because of the effort that they put in day in and day out. And I think there were some other things that come across as hesitancy, as a way I kind of put it. And I think after the game, probably would follow that up and say that there was a couple times where we just got to be quicker to get to a spot and do our job.
I think that hesitancy is something that Greg was referencing yesterday when he said that there were a lot of guys that were thinking, maybe a little bit too concerned about getting things wrong, doing the wrong thing, making a mistake, and that was kind of slowing them down on the field. It makes sense when you think about it, and I don't know how much of that mentality can be overcome. I don't know how you get guys into that comfort zone where they're not affected that way, not thinking that way. But also yesterday, just responding to the loss, how the players have taken it and how they've bounced back so far.
Guys have already shown me yesterday how bad they want it and how they're going to respond. And so, I really feel like the tone in the locker room after the game, at least from my standpoint, and how I can address the team is completely different than it was a year ago. And so, we don't need to speak in those terms, but it feels different. There's more of a, just flat out upset. I can use a lot of different words to explain it, but just, really upset about how it went. These aren't learning moments anymore. This is us and our program. And, again, we understand the situation we've put ourselves in and that we're in. But it is a long season. And, let's take care of business this week. And then that's going to set up the next week. And then we'll worry about that. That's been our philosophy all along, but we really got to live it now.
A couple of things I want to hear from Alabama fans on. What do you want to see from the team this week other than a win? What can they do to reverse your opinion on the team other than win? Are there individual things you're looking for from position groups? Are there individual things you're looking for from sides of the football, individual players that you would come away from this game against ULM that you'll be a massive favorite against and then say, I feel good about this team, feel great about this team. I think everything's back. I feel fine. They can bounce back. They can right the ship. They can compete for a championship this season. What is that? 800-239-9569. Andy wants to chime in from Wetumpka. Welcome into the show, Andy.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Hope y'all doing well.
Great, thanks.
Great. Listen, let's start with Kalen DeBoer right off the bat. You had the entire off season to prepare for this one game, okay, and to get your offense and your defense on one page, and to go through situational football during practice, and let's keep in mind, gentlemen, okay, this man, when you break his salary down, he's making over $197,000 a week, okay. I don't know about y'all, but I don't make that, okay. So you think that he would take this job very seriously. And what I saw Saturday, I saw a kid playing quarterback that looked like he should be in high school right now. I saw some offensive calls that were just questionable. I saw a defense that didn't have the heart to get out and actually chase runners when they were in open field. I've never seen an Alabama football team so ill prepared. And it all falls at the feet of Kalen DeBoer. And to be quite honest, when you look at Alabama's schedule this year, they're going to have some hard times. I think they're going to get beat by Vanderbilt again. I think they're going to lose to Georgia. Auburn looked very good. I think Auburn finally found them a great quarterback. Their offense was balanced. The defense looked good. Those kids were having fun, But it's sad. It's sad to see the situation. Put yourself in Nick Saban's shoes right now. You know, it took this man probably less than a year to just totally erase what this man has put together when he came to the capstone. It's sad. It really is. And I don't see any recovering from this. I mean, yeah, it's just one loss, but it's more than a loss, fellas. What we witnessed Saturday was a total ass whooping on both sides of the football. Let's just face it. And it's been a long time since I've seen this, and I'm 55 years old. I don't know your take on it, fellas, but I appreciate it, and y'all do a great job, and looking forward to hearing y'all every day of this coming season.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate the call. 800-239-9569. You can text in 205-834-9450. Tweet in at Mac and Q. Be a part of the show. What could reverse your opinion on Alabama this Saturday? Along with what Andy stated, the way I laid it out yesterday, and the play calls, I don't know if I would agree there. I do think Ty Simpson did some good things. I think he was in a tough spot. I don't think he had much time to operate. I think when they tried to move the pocket to get away from the pressure was in his face almost immediately. I think you got to give Florida State a lot of credit for calling a great game, because a lot of those pressures were timed up and a lot of those stunts were timed up to where there was a defender in his face when they tried to move him. Some of the letdowns along the offensive line were evident. The defense had letdowns across the board for the most part. You point to Jeremy Bernard, Parker Brailsford. I would even maybe go Ty Simpson as guys that I thought battled, played well, did things the way that needs to be done to win football games. But a lot of the other stuff I'd agree with you with. It's hard to push back on a lot of it. It really is. We'll see just kind of what they can do and if they can change people's opinion. Crimson Convict wants to chime in and let us know what could change his opinion on this Alabama football team this weekend. Welcome in, Crimson.
Hey, brother. Nothing. Not this week. Not till they go between the hedges.
Okay.
That's the measuring stick. I mean, you're not going to learn anything this week.
Not even, you think, from an effort perspective on defense, if you saw guys flying around, knocking some guys down, operating in a different manner than they did last week?
No, absolutely not. Because the thing is, told that we're here to win championships. The whole fall camp, we got nothing but shining reports saying that this was his team. They were ready. Everybody looks good. So, I mean, the measuring stick's going to be between the hedges at Sanford State. I mean, and plus, the thing that disappointed me, Gus Malzahn's press conference. Gus Malzahn. I'm so sorry. Hugh Freeze's press conference. He was talking like they took an L that week, talking about what they needed to work on, things that they could do better, and they won. But yet, here's Kalen DeBoer, throwing out football cliches like they're beads at Mardi Gras. And it's the same old song and dance. So, if we can beat Georgia, that'll right the ship. So I'm holding reservations until then, brother. I'm not gonna look at anything any differently about this team until we can go to Georgia and see what we do there.
Okay, appreciate the call. Crimson Convict chiming in on his thoughts on Alabama's improvement. What could maybe change his mind? We'll go to Kenny quickly in Mount Olive. Get your thoughts on what could change your mind about this Alabama team this upcoming weekend, Kenny.
Honestly, based on the opponent, win like you should. That's the only thing I can really say. There's just too many problems, and I think they go back to last year. I mean, even the Georgia game last year, and I know I'm complaining about a game you won, but, I mean, clock management in that game last year. Georgia should have never had a chance to get back in that game based on the amount of possessions they should have got. I mean, I just see, for a guy making the kind of money he's making and supposedly the coach he's supposed to be, I'm seeing mistakes he just shouldn't be making. And, again, this past Saturday, guys jogging to the football. How in the world are you jogging to the football on defense? It's extremely frustrating. I'm not unrealistic, Cole. I'm not. I swear I'm not. I mean, I can take, hey, sometimes you get beat. Everybody gets beat. But get off the damn bus and put forth some effort. And that's all I'm asking.
I don't think it's asking too much. And as I stated yesterday, taking clips and showing guys running to the football, not running to the football, jogging to the football, it's problematic. It's an issue. Guys getting knocked around, sometimes that happens. But the fact that Alabama absorbed the blow for 4 quarters of that football game, something I have not seen in maybe 12, 13 years. They were not the attacker. They were not the enforcer. They were not the striker in that game. And from certain positions, specifically defensive line, inside linebacker, that was alarming. And I think it was 10 times more terrifying than a guy not running the football. But that's just me and how I've watched it for the last decade. Andy Staples joined us now from the On3 Sports Network. You can hear Andy and Ari's podcast daily at On3. Made a round trip of football games this weekend. You two did. Was it kind of like your own personal On3 road trip?
It was awesome. It's funny because we were never in the same car because we were coming from different directions, but that's fine. We can only take so much of each other. But yeah, we had Clemson LSU on Saturday night. We had South Carolina Virginia Tech on Sunday. It was great. I'm glad I did not stay on the road to go to Chapel Hill because I did not need to see that in person. It translated fine on television.
All right. How is Florida State, Alabama translating for you now that you've had 48 plus hours to soak it in? You heard a couple of our callers when you were on hold. I think you know how people in our neck of the woods are going to react to this. But there are some games, Andy, that need to be overreacted to based on what you see. Yeah. And I'm not necessarily saying this is one of them, but I'm just interested from your perspective of you've watched the Alabama football I've watched for the last 10, 12 years. Where should we be on this game?
Exactly where you are. Like that last caller hit it right. Win the way you're supposed to win. And, that's the thing. I don't think, and I realize that, and I said it yesterday, Alabama's expectations are outside. They should be. Alabama's one of the best programs in college football history. Like, I don't have a problem with them having a high standard and having high expectations. But the more concerning thing is they're losing games that teams that finish 8-4 don't lose. In the ways they're losing them. And the stuff you were talking about and then stuff you were pointing out when you did the film study, that's how you lose to bad teams and mediocre teams. Forget really good teams. The really good teams kill you if you do stuff like that. So whatever they're doing or not doing, and I talked to my new coworker Chris Lowe about this. He was at practice last week and he said it didn't look like a soft practice. Everybody's flying around and it looked normal, and something's just not translating on game day, I guess, because this is exactly the way they looked when they lost to Oklahoma. It's exactly the way they looked when they lost to Vanderbilt. It's exactly the way they looked when they lost to essentially Michigan's backups last year in the bowl game. Like, it keeps happening, and Kalen DeBoer seems very quick to point out, this isn't like last year. But it looked exactly like last year, so you have to prove that it's not.
It's intriguing to think about where it was and where it is now. And some of the things that I saw, like I said, I don't know if they're repairable. I really don't. And you're not the only person that's told me that about practice. Greg has said it on this show. I had a couple other folks that I know and that I trust their football acumen that went to practice, and they said similar things that you did. Should that, if that's real, and it's from people like you that I trust, Greg that I trust, other folks that I trust, should that maybe give us this hall pass to say, let's wait and see? Maybe not even just this week, but we got Wisconsin and Georgia after that. Mm-hmm. Maybe they can write this thing in a very quick fashion.
You have to wait and see because the buyout's $60 million. You're going to wait and see as long as you can. Now, that said, if it's what they put out on the field on Saturday, they will have to make a decision. Like if they do that for the rest of the season, they'll have to make a very hard decision and go raise some money. But yes, there's time. It is just one game. There's time to fix it. And the thing that it's interesting because we talk about the practice and the practice looking good. It feels like a mindset thing, Cole. Like, remember in the Saban era, when an Alabama player tackled an opposing ball carrier, it looked like he was trying to throw him through the center of the earth, which is exactly what it looked like the other night when I was at Clemson. LSU and Clemson both play with that level of physicality. If you watch the Miami-Notre Dame game, those teams were playing with that level of physicality. Watch a Georgia game. That's what that looks like. Watch an Ohio State game, Michigan game. That's what that looks like. And it didn't look like that from Alabama on Saturday. You had linebackers that they weren't, because here's the thing. A linebacker can evade a block. Like if he's really fast and really smart, he can never get touched and go make a tackle. But that's not what was happening. They were not taking on blocks that they needed to take on. Like the term is block destruction. There was no block destruction going on. They were just absorbing them and getting pushed around. And that's a mindset thing, because you can be in the right place. You can read it the way you're supposed to read it. But if you're not willing to attack the guy who's trying to manhandle you, you're going to get manhandled.
And that absorption is what I referenced as the scariest part. Turning your back to the ball carrier. I don't know if I've ever seen an Alabama player do that before.
Well, and I saw people saying, oh, the linebackers are stepping back at the snap. That clearly is coached. Like that's part of their scheme. Like the way they're doing it, it doesn't look like they're doing anything wrong or making a mistake.
Maybe certain plays, but there are other plays, Andy, where they're immediately jumping to the wrong gap. I saw that multiple times.
That's the bigger problem. Yeah, that's the bigger problem. Like where they clearly are not going where they're supposed to go, or they are where they're supposed to be, and they're just losing the one-on-one matchup there.
Andy Staples of the On3 Sports Network joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. So we will wait and see. Like you said, it's the only thing that we can do. And it either autocorrects or it continues like this, and I think we all know where things go if that's the case. Go to the other side of the state. It feels like a month ago that Auburn played Friday night against Baylor, with this weekend that was packed with college football wrapping up last night. How much further on the other side of this should we be with Auburn based on what you saw? How much excitement should there be? How much now real optimism should there be about this season based on what you got from Hugh Freeze's against Baylor?
Cole, I wanted to text you on Friday night while it was going on, but I was driving up the interstate. I'd been at my son's high school game in Jacksonville, and I was trying to get a little bit of the way toward Clemson.
How did the snapping with no glove go? Does it go okay?
He's doing good. He's
okay.
He's going to stay barehanded on the snapping.
There you go.
Cole, I texted my center group chat, which Cole is obviously in, because I needed guys who'd snapped a lot under center to give me some advice for my kid. But I was going to text you during that Auburn game because I'm listening to it as I drive. Of course, I'm not watching. But when they call timeout, when they're about to go for it on a fourth down, I was like, this is the part where they would mess this up last year. This is the part where where he would get in his own head and they do something crazy. And all they did was run the damn ball when they came back out. And I was like, they've got it. They figured it out. Because remember, Cole, they ran the ball really well last year. And remember Hugh was saying, well, maybe I should call fewer RPOs. Maybe I should just call more plays.
Yeah, they also chose not to run the ball. They also chose not to try to run the ball well at times last year.
Exactly. That's the thing. And this time it's working. You're dominating up front, and they just kept dominating up front. Like they had a thing that was working, and they didn't mess with it. And I love that. I mean, I think I'm of the mind that if you're averaging 6 yards a carry, don't even throw. Run until they stop you. And, getting back to the Florida State-Alabama game, Gus has always been like that when he gets you on your heels. And the only time he's going to throw is when he does that pop pass, because you're so scared of what they're going to do on the ground. And that's maybe what Auburn can be this year. And I was really impressed. We'll see when they're playing a team that does not let them push them around like that. But I do think they're going to push a lot of teams around.
I think they have a chance to, because Baylor obviously upped the ante on that defensive line in the offseason. It's not like they're bringing an extremely light front to the table. That's one that it's not going to be what all the SEC fronts are going to be, specifically Oklahoma, Georgia, but it's as comparable as you're going to get for a lot of non-conference games. And so I think it was a great test, and the fact that they passed it the way they did, I think is good news. Let's go big picture here, and this one might take you a moment to think about, because I want you to kind of picture where I'm going with this. After this weekend, which was a little bit wild, we had some things, we've already talked about a couple of them that took place that we didn't really expect. Does Andy Staples feel like there are more teams that can win a national title this year or fewer teams that can win a national title this year?
I'd say more still, because I still think
but
that
more
the
than you did
talent
last
level
week. I'm saying more than you did going into the weekend.
Yeah, because I originally had the top 8 in both the polls, which didn't include LSU and Miami because they were 9 and 10. I would now say it's the top 10, maybe minus Alabama. So maybe it's 9, but LSU and Miami certainly can. Like there's no doubt that they, given the right set of circumstances, could win the national title. And then you've got other teams like Auburn and Florida where we'll see what they are as we go on, but they certainly have the personnel to make it happen. They got to put it all together.
Have you watched the first offensive play of the Florida game back multiple times?
I have not.
Watch the first play.
I tried to avoid it.
You get Austin Barber basically just throws the defensive end out of the club. Left guard, center, Jake Slaughter, they get a D tackle about 8 yards downfield. And then right guard latches on to a second-level defender about 5 yards downfield and completely dumps him about 20 yards downfield. I felt bad for the right tackle watching it because I don't know how you didn't get yours on this play because everybody else did. But I know it wasn't smooth sailing for the entire game. But that play epitomized where Florida might be able to be this year. And I realize it's the Sharks. I get it, but they handle their business.
Well, and that's the thing. It's when you can do that, do you do that? And I think they have an offensive line that can do that. And that group got so much better as last season went on. And we knew what Slaughter was. Barber developed into a really good tackle. But remember, they got dominated up front by Miami. They got dominated by Texas A&M. And then by the end of the season, they're playing against LSU and Ole Miss, and they look like they're the bullies. And so that's the group I'm excited to see because I tell you what, Cole, I saw that LSU D-line in person. It is fast. It is tough. It is big, and they're going to have their hands full. Florida's O-line when they go to Baton Rouge next week.
I mean, they got Greg and I tried to say it, but they got some perfect characters for the cast of that LSU defense. I mean, Jack Pyburn is as good of a fit for any group with the way that they operate in college football because he's literally Ram Man from He-Man. Like he just wants to run through walls. Like, I mean, he okay, I need to go take out the guard. I don't care if I make the play. I don't care if I'm near the ball. Like, let me just punish this guy. Oh, I need to rush upfield so the tackle comes with me so this corner blitz can come underneath. I don't need to act like I'm making a sack. I'll just rip this dude 10 yards upfield. I don't care. And he doesn't. And you went and got some length at corner that can cover in man-to-man situations because you're bringing that pressure. Doing a little bit better job with Harold Perkins and how he's operating in space and still able to attack. And the Weeks brothers are just both kamikaze pilots, man. It's like that's a fun defense to watch. And I'm with you. The D tackles impressed me. I don't know what the depth looks like. I really don't because I think I only saw 3 play. That might be an issue, but I did not expect that group to look as good as they did against Clemson. I thought it'd be the other way around. I thought Clemson's D tackles would dominate that game.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Clemson's D line was good. It's just that Garrett Nussmeier is a veteran QB who knows how to move in the pocket, knows how to get the ball out, because I think a less experienced QB would have been buried by that Clemson D line. Now, the LSU D tackles, remember, we heard all preseason, the LSU D line's dominating the LSU O line, and our thought was, well, maybe that means LSU's O line, which is replacing 4 starters, is not going to hold up. Well, they held up against one of the best defensive lines in the country. And they're going to play some other really good ones, but that is really encouraging to me, the way they played against Clemson's D-line.
Yep, no doubt. Andy, great stuff. I enjoyed listening to you guys this weekend. You did a great job. I appreciate you calling Ari out for being upset with Cristobal's play calling late in the game because it was a little nonsensical on his part, and I'm just like, someone needs to let him know that he's not making sense here.
But that's the thing. Like, so he's mad that Cristobal runs the ball up the middle on 3rd and 5 to set up the game-winning field goal. And I'm like, but you will be the first person if they had called some triple reverse, Lindy or whatever the hell it's called. You would have been the first person to say he got too cute. So which is it? Like,
I liked when he said that you needed to get the yards, and you said, yeah, that's what 1st and 2nd down were for, and they didn't do it.
Exactly. And he said, but you could have run something that would have gotten the 1st down. I'm like, yes. if their offensive line had pushed Notre Dame's defensive line a little bit further, they would have gotten the first down. Like, I don't have a problem with that at all. And, we've buried Mario Cristobal for game management in the past, and rightfully so. Let's give him some praise this time for doing it right.
Is a Miami a team that sort of entered the chat for you with a chance to win a title, or were they already there?
Oh, yeah. No, they were not.
See, I didn't have them there either. I thought they were like a fringe make the playoff team, but probably not advance too far, and my opinion on them may have changed.
Ruben Bain is a menace.
Real deal.
A healthy Ruben Bain, because he was got hurt in the Florida game last year, maybe never was fully healthy. Ruben Bain is a scary dude.
Absolutely. Andy, great stuff. Thanks for hopping on with us. We'll do it again soon.
See you, Cole. Thanks.
There you go. Andy Staples of the On3 Sports Network. We'll continue to take your calls on the other side, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. You can tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. Don't forget about our friends at Train. That heat and humidity is going to come back. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Train cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. Find a comfort specialist near you at Train.com. It is hard to stop a train. More of your calls, more of your reaction to Alabama, Auburn from over the weekend. We get to the rest of the SEC after this on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you being with us. 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. Bill Belichick drops his opener as the North Carolina head coach last night, 48-14. Josh Hoover, who almost went for 4,000 yards last year, but did not. 27-36, 284, 2 touchdowns, did have 1 pick. He's now 5th all-time career passing yards and passing touchdowns in TCU history. He's thrown for 200 or more passing yards in 19 of his 20 career starts. North Carolina allowed 41 consecutive points without scoring. That's the most consecutive points without scoring by a Bill Belichick-led team. It was 35 in the NFL. That only happened twice. They lost by 34, tied for the second largest loss by a Bill Belichick-led team in his career. And that 34-point loss, largest loss in a season opener since 2003.
Oh.
Florida State, 37-0. Scored a touchdown in their opening drive and scored 7 the rest of the way. Not great. Didn't look good. Some offensive line injury issues for North Carolina and a lot of problems happening there for UNC. Gus Eagles and the Gus Eagles Group want to help you with any real estate problems that you have. If you wonder what your house is worth, go to GusEaglesGroup.com today. Look at the button at the top of the page. Smash that. Very little information. They're going to give you an idea what they can get for your home right this second. They serve more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers, so they know what's coming up in the greater Birmingham area. They know the market. They know what's going to be available, and they're going to be able to get you top dollar for your home. Since 2012, Gus Eagles Group recognized both nationally and locally as greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. Over 830 5-star Google reviews. Go to GusEaglesGroup.com today or call 205-542-1996. That's 205-542-1996 and start packing. We'll continue getting your feedback from the weekend. Main focus was Alabama yesterday. We'll talk about it more today. Get to some other games around college football and around the SEC. Let's go to Golden Domer quickly on the Higginbotham Hotline. Domer, your thoughts on the weekend?
Top of the morning. So I would say, Cole, and I think this will be a great conversation for you, man, because I really I respect your insight on breaking down the offensive line. First, I want to say I was really impressed by Miami. Honestly, I knew they were good on the line of scrimmage. They exceeded my expectations. I think Beck is the real deal, man. The way he slid in the pocket and was throwing his receivers open. I mean, he made some really good plays. I mean, and you got to take your hat off to him. They've added some receivers in the portal that made an immediate impact. I think they're very talented on the back end. Miami could be the real deal. And that's not to say that Notre Dame played well, because I don't think they did. And that's what I would like to talk to you about. I think the biggest question coming into the game was going to be C.J. Carr, obviously. We felt pretty good about everything else. And it turned out that C.J. Carr held his end of the bargain and exceeded expectations. But the strength of our team, what we thought we could just roll in there and have consistency with, was the offensive line. And you had several missed assignments. You got pushed around some. You had literally some slides where you just left defensive lineman a free pass to your quarterback, and he would run around like a chicken with his head cut off. So, Cole, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the film or what you think about it, but, I mean, what do you think about Notre Dame's offensive line, and what do you think was the issue there?
I'll give you a better synopsis probably tomorrow. I'll get to it today. I was trying to watch a little bit of the UNC game last night. Flying home, I watched Alabama and Auburn again, so I'd have a better idea to talk about them today. And I have ULM this weekend. I went ahead and took a peek at them, so I didn't get to it, but I will get to it tonight, and we'll talk about it later in the week. I will say some of that not always on that group. Sometimes it's the quarterback. Sometimes it's sitting there of who's their point linebacker. Do we make a mistake there? Did we slide the protection the wrong way? I saw a couple of groups this weekend that are sliding the protection to a two-man side, and there's 4 potential rushers to the other side. And it's like you're choosing to put a running back on a legitimate edge defender and slide 4 other offensive linemen away from those guys. It's nonsensical sometimes. I love Mike Denbrock. I think he's amazing. Why Jeremiah Love was not force-fed the football as maybe the best running back, one of the best college football players in America, I will never be able to be okay with that. And I'd have to go back again and truly dissect the looks that Miami was giving them. Maybe that was dictated to them to where they had to get away from it and couldn't do it. I don't exactly know. But once again, it's that to me, when you have that kind of a talent and then it is able to go at times to go long stretches of a game and not see it, I don't think you ever really have an excuse for that. Because Jeremiah Love adds value to your football team and a valuable weapon that can bring you points, yards, possession, flip the field, a lot of different things. Speaking of value, we're going to add some value here on Jox. Introduce you to our friend and wealth advisor, Tad Hill, your trusted retirement planning partner. Tad's the co-host of the Retire with Freedom radio and TV shows in Birmingham and Huntsville, also designated by Forbes as the #1 financial securities professional in the state of Alabama, multiple years running. Tad, what do you have for us today?
Okay, today is a topic that we've discussed before, but it's a pretty constant issue, and that is market volatility. And definitely the markets have been topsy-turvy for months in a row now. And if you're already retired or you're within 5 years of it, there's a thing called sequence of returns risk. And I can't go through all the math here. I can do that in our course or in a visit. But the bottom line is if you get poor returns early in your retirement, then you are at a much higher risk of running out of money. And our Retire with Freedom process is designed to help you build a plan to insulate you from that. We can help you. I would really encourage you to come to one of our courses or come in for a visit. And the way to do that is to text Jox at 205-988-0006. That's 205-988-0006. Text Jox, 205-988-0006.
This is a paid placement. Investment advisory services are made available through AE Wealth Management. For more information about Forbes rankings, visit Forbes.com.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It's 7:48, Tuesday, September 2nd, right here on WJOX. Listen online, joxfm.com. The app is in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can always download that for free. Listen on the go. That takes you to the podcast, that takes you to interviews, that takes you to the YouTube page. Search Jox945 on YouTube. You can watch the show live that way and go back and check it out throughout the course of the day if you need to do that. Please subscribe to that Jox YouTube page, by the way, or just tell your home speaker to enable the Jox skill. 800-239-9569. Your thoughts on games over the weekend. We asked the question earlier in the show, what can Alabama do to get you back this weekend? What can they do to reverse some of these bad feelings, these negative vibes that you have towards the football team? Chris in Irondale would like to chime in, share his thoughts. Welcome into the show, Chris.
Hey, thank you. Hey, it's an honor. You're one of my favorite analysts. You don't sugarcoat nothing. But
one of how many though? You say one of. Is that one of 100? One of like 5?
No, like 2. I like Trev. He used to be on there a while back, and he gave very good cut blank, straight to it analysis. And then you had a great take on, believe it or not, Outcast one day. Between Andre 3000 and Big Boy, and he was like, well, you probably like, hey, y'all. And I was like, oh, man, come on.
That's
like,
fair.
Okay.
I appreciate
you
that.
have to actually know what you're talking about then. So and a lot of your takes, they're straightforward, and they're cut and dry most of the time,
Well, thank you.
I really like it.
Thank you, Chris. What's on your mind about this Alabama? What's on your mind about this Alabama loss?
It's so serious that I don't see a future or hope. When your coach is the reason, all our losses are coaches. We have not stepped on the field and lost the game because of talent. It's been bad coaching. Vanderbilt game last year, he just had his way with our defensive coordinator. Anytime, every loss we've had has been the bad coaching. And it's to the point now, of course, Kalen DeBoer needs to be fired. He needs to be fired. That's not a question. But what about Greg Burns and the people who endorsed this hire? We're going to have to go through a whole season of bad football. So when are we going to be able to fire him? And is the money is it worth paying $70 million or watching him break records after records after records of losing in the worst way? I heard yesterday, first time loss in August, 40 years to Vanderbilt. He's tearing down our program. Soft, I've never heard Alabama being soft, ever. Not being able to tackle, bring the man down after you hit him. The play calling is horrible. Hey, these coaches are out of their element. They should be able to do these things when they got the job. That was their resume when they took the job. You came into a loaded program where, last year we had the best roster. This year we had the second best roster in all of college football, and you can't even perform? Where's the hope? We don't have any. Only way you could believe in this team is you got blind faith. But nothing that you've seen would dictate things getting any better. Tell me how things are going to get better. And I'll hang up and listen.
I appreciate the call, Chris. I think there are a couple of ways that it gets better. You see guys play with more intensity. You see just better execution all around. Tackles being able to change direction, stopping an inside rush. Defensive linemen striking, shedding an offensive lineman. Linebackers playing downhill, striking offensive linemen, striking running backs, striking tight ends, trying to block them. You see guys hustling after the football, playing with relentless pursuit. Those are things that have a chance to change. Some of them I question greatly if they can or will. Others I think are easily repaired because it's a simple mindset and a simple decision of do you want to or do you not want to. James in Birmingham would like to chime in on the weekend's games. Welcome in, James. Agree. Tyler in Clanton. Welcome into the show, Tyler.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm a long-time standing Alabama fan. I've been watching, as far as my age goes, I've been watching since Tyler Watts. And I can say I didn't really appreciate the execution on Ty Simpson's part. I feel like on that third down, I think it was third down that was really crucial. But I'm not going to put it on him. I think Florida State really came in there with some really good defense. But there was a play where I feel like he could have ran it, and made that play, and then he tried to throw it backwards to Ryan Williams, which Ryan Williams, I wish just got to step up, man. You got to be that that when he does stuff, when he elevates, I think he elevates the team with his personal, execution. But when he drops balls that he should be catching, it kind of brings the team down, and it kind of sets a mood out where I guess momentum is legit. And you're playing in a hostile stadium. I didn't see a lot of red jerseys out there. I didn't see a lot of red shirts. And so I just feel like I really hate that the Alabama fans are always getting down on the quarterback and the coach and all that stuff. I really feel like Florida State came out there to beat, and they still rushed the team. I think this is a stat. If it's not, then call me out. But I'm pretty sure, even if we lose, people still rush the stadium, rush the field, because it's that much of an accomplishment to be Alabama, and we are still Alabama. And regardless of the quarterback play, I think starting out that way, just like Saban said, with the punter, I can't remember his name right now, but I think we still have it. I would not give up Alabama. I mean, I know we tend to do that, but I think we still got it. And it was a hard team to face in the first of the year, but I think we'll pull it out.
All right, appreciate the call. Doug in Moundville, you got about a minute. Doug, what's on your mind?
Well, let me tell you, teams are going to stop rushing the field because we're going to lose so much. They're going to get tired of rushing the field. It's ridiculous how awful we looked and pathetic. And to the guy who just said Florida State's a good team, they won 2 games last year. They don't have the talent that we have. Okay? It was a disgusting, embarrassing, pathetic performance. And there's nothing we can see from the La Monroe game that will change my opinion. It is over for Kalen DeBoer.
Okay. Alabama won 9 last year. So you could flip that around and say some people would make them believe that they would be a good team because of that.
We know that if you beat a team last year, you're going to do it this year.
That's what I've been told. Over. Right, Greg?
For sure. I didn't know I was coming into a bunch of calls. We'll have to make sure we talk a couple people off the ledge for the next couple hours, boys. What do you think?
They're lined up. We're going to continue taking them next hour because we want to know what Alabama can do this weekend to change your opinion of this football team. Is there anything you can see outside of a win that's going to make you feel like they're capable of different things? That and more next right here on Jox. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. He joins us each and every week at this time, 8 a.m. Tuesday, September 2nd, right here on Jox. It's the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, crane works, rental works, yeah! The big dog's got it.
The voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, on Mac and Cube in the morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lifted, buy and rented, the big dog's got it. Now, Andy Burcham.
Andy, always great to catch up with you. Hope you had a good week in Waco. What was that atmosphere like? I haven't been. I know a lot of Auburn fans haven't been able to take in a game there. How would you describe it?
It was warm. It was really warm in Waco, Texas. When Auburn got to the stadium Friday evening, it was 140 degrees on the playing surface, on the artificial surface there in Waco. It was a big Auburn crowd. I will say that as well, Mac. There were a lot of Auburn people that made a long weekend of it and enjoyed Waco, Texas. Certainly enjoyed Auburn's win in Waco. It's a beautiful stadium. It's the first time I've been to McLean Stadium. Auburn, as a matter of fact, is the first SEC team to ever play at McLean Stadium, although Auburn has played at Baylor, not in the relatively new stadium. And it's a beautiful facility right on the banks of the Brazos. And after Baylor jumped out to the 3-0 lead and Auburn then scored its first touchdown, the Tigers never trailed. So all in all, a really good trip and a very good start to this season for the Auburn Tigers.
How's the health of the football team right now, Andy, heading into week 2?
Yeah, that's significant. Hugh Freeze at his press conference yesterday and then again last night on Tiger Talk on Jox talked about a couple guys that are nicked up, and Auburn will lose Champ Anthony for a while, a broken thumb. They don't know they don't know exactly when it happened, but he is having surgery, I think, today. So he's out for a while. Exactly how long that occurs, I'm not certain. He'll likely come back in a cast to play, but when that occurs remains to be seen. Damari Alston nicked up a shoulder in the win in spite of his 16 carries for 84 yards and a touchdown. His availability, I think, remains to be seen for Saturday's game against Ball State. I think those were the two. Amaris Williams went out with a leg injury, but did come back and play for Auburn. So I think the news is good. So I think that's the three key injury spots for this Auburn team heading into Saturday's home opener against Ball State.
I know what I saw, Andy, and I talked to Roman Harper yesterday in studio in Charlotte about it. I love getting his take on secondaries and defensive play coverages. What were the Auburn staff's thoughts on the coverage and some of the yards that were given up?
Got to get better, and not only get better in its coverage, but get better in its tackling. I thought Baylor did a really nice job of breaking a lot of tackles. And now, listen, some of the deal was the matchup with Michael Trigg, who's a tight end that is a lot like Rivaldo Fairweather, maybe not as big as Rivaldo, but a matchup, especially for linebackers. And I think Auburn came out of that knowing that it's got to get better because it's got to face even better passing attacks than what it saw Saturday against Baylor. So, and losing Champ Anthony for at least a couple ball games, we don't know exactly how long that is, will mean that guys like New Boy Fagans and Eric Winters will get more playing time, and we'll get more important playing time as well for Auburn. So that is definitely, you come out of that, and there's two things you want to see Auburn improve upon as it gets going here with these next two home games against Ball State and South Alabama before Auburn goes to Oklahoma. One is Auburn's passing game and becoming more balanced in the offense. And two, certainly, I think Auburn did a really nice job against the run. Sawyer Robertson threw the ball all over the field on Saturday night against Baylor. And he's a good quarterback, and that's a good offense. But Auburn's got to get better in his pass coverage.
Yeah, my thought was, and I kind of confirmed this with Roman last night, a lot of that was in zone coverage. A lot of that was in some sort of a pattern matching with, like you said, a mismatched tight end that not everybody's going to have, and you can make some different adjustments. I mean, we talked a lot about Baylor this offseason, Andy. We didn't have multiple conversations about Michael Trigg being a factor. So, you could see where he might be a little bit of a surprise, even though he had been in the SEC before and a lot of folks had seen him. Just didn't think he was going to be that effective in that offense.
I agree with you. And, he was – their tight end room comes almost back intact at Baylor. And they used him quite a bit. And he was really good, and he was a matchup problem for Auburn. And I think it's just something you learn from and you get better from. I thought early in the game, Auburn did a really nice job of getting to Sawyer Robertson. Auburn did have 4 sacks in the game for 19 yards. And then through the middle part of the game, I don't know if Baylor made an adjustment or they were just getting rid of the ball quicker, but not until Keldrick Faulk's sack late in the game did Auburn start to put more pressure again on Sawyer Robertson. And Auburn's got to be able to do that. And here's another thing. While Auburn did not turn the ball over, and that was enormous in the game, this defense has got to come up with some turnovers as well. A year ago, Auburn was last in the Southeastern Conference in turnover margin, but that wasn't just on the offense. That was on the defense because it didn't come up with a ton of turnover recoveries, interceptions, and fumble recoveries. And I think that's an area that Auburn, as it gears up now, and especially gears up for that Oklahoma matchup in a couple of weeks, that's something Auburn's got to continue to get better in.
What did the coaches say about what they got from the Baylor offense as opposed to maybe what they thought? Because I'm not sure I saw a single stretch play, and that's what they've made their money on for years. I was under the impression they were going to keep that with some of those new air raid principles. It didn't feel like that. So could that be another factor into maybe a few of the struggles defensively, is that it wasn't exactly what they intended they were going to get?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I've not talked with DJ Durkin just about that game plan against Baylor yet. It'll be interesting to get his thoughts on that. Auburn did a really nice job against a run game that featured a 1,000-yard rusher, Bryce Washington, from a year ago. There was only really one play that he busted big, and it was called back on a hold in that game. And I thought Auburn did a nice job of corralling Sawyer Robertson, who's certainly known much more as a passer than as a runner. And they did not use the stretch play very much, but they used the pass game very effectively against Auburn. And Auburn's going to see that much more as this season goes along. So it's just an area that Auburn has to get better at. It's something I know that they're working on this week as they get ready for the home opener against Ball State.
What do you expect from Jackson Arnold's legs moving forward? Was this more of what the defense dictated because it was there? Do you anticipate it to continue to have as many more built-in runs for Jackson Arnold?
I don't know more is the right way to put it. I think it was what Baylor gave Auburn. I think that with their safeties, they came up and they were going to try and make Auburn run the football. And Auburn did and ran it very, very well. I don't know if we see Jackson Arnold with 16 carries a ball game. I mean, can he handle that from a physical standpoint week in and week out, especially when Auburn gets into Southeastern Conference play here in a couple of weeks? My guess is no. I think that's what Baylor gave Auburn. Auburn took advantage of that to its benefit. The Tigers, ran for 322 yards in that game on Saturday. I think we will see a much more balanced attack against Ball State this week, and I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn doesn't unveil more of its passing attack this week against Ball State. Ball State a week ago gave up 340 yards against Purdue in the pass game and 93 yards against the Boilermakers in the rush. I think Auburn has a much more balanced attack this week.
Andy, I'm not sure how you saw it live, and I actually haven't heard what any of the coaches said about it either. But some of the things that I saw from 77 and 75 in that game, I couldn't tell you the last time I saw it in an Auburn uniform, quite simply.
Auburn. I thought Auburn's offensive line played like it needs to play. Listen, that's what I expected out of that offensive line. And let me throw one more in there, and that's 72, Too-Tall Miller.
Yeah, it was a great job coming in. I mean, that's a tough spot, Andy. That is really difficult.
Played both guard spots, I think, coming off the bench in that game. And listen, in a day and age where players go elsewhere to find playing time, I mean, Too-Tall Miller knew coming into this season that behind Xavier Chaplin and Mason Murphy, he'd probably lose his starting spot and he stuck around. And he's one of those Swiss Army knives now for Auburn. He can play both tackle spots. He can play both guard spots for Auburn. And I thought, and Hugh Freeze was quick to note, in addition to Chaplin and Wade and Lou and Wright and Murphy, that Too Tall Miller was a huge key for Auburn Saturday. Here's one more. You're talking about 77. In Hugh Freeze's mind, that was the best game that Jeremiah Wright has played in Hugh Freeze's now 3 seasons as head coach at Auburn.
It's the best game I've seen him play. And that's the kind of stuff that if they're going to be different than they've been, that demeanor, that attitude, that kind of force that he played with, it's got to be there consistently. And we'll see if it can continue to go. Had to be fun to watch.
I think it's, you and I talked about it last week. I think it's the key for Auburn offensively right now. Those guys up front have to continue, whether it's opening up the holes or protecting the quarterback. That has to continue for Jackson Arnold to shine, and certainly for those wide receivers to be able to get open. And I think we'll see Auburn do more of that this week against Ball State.
Andy, we always appreciate your visits, and we know each and every week you're brought to us by Craneworks.
Thank you, Cole. And Wasteworks, a Craneworks company, provides roll-off dumpster rentals in the Birmingham area with a wide range of sizes and fast service. They're your source for local dumpster rentals. Visit wasteworksusa.com. That's wasteworksusa.com for a quote. Where are you this week, Cole?
I will be in Tuscaloosa this weekend, Andy.
Well, that'll be
Greg, I want to say is – I don't know where Greg
Kentucky,
is.
Ole Miss, I think.
That's what I want. I think, but I don't know for certain.
Okay.
I'll see Greg. I'll see Greg in November. So
Understand. Hope you guys have a great day. Another sellout for Auburn. Also, the Pat Dye reunion game.
There you go.
Auburn. And so we're going to have Quentin Riggins. You'll like this one, Ben, or like this one, Cole. Ben Tamborello, Auburn center, and Joe Witt Sr. on our pregame show starting at 3:30 on Saturday.
That's tough to beat. I don't know a human on earth that has more insight in as many different ways as Joe Witt Sr. would. I don't think it's possible.
He has more stories that we can tell on the air and off the air than anyone that I know.
Probably more off than I would guess.
Probably.
Than on. Yeah. At least the more entertaining ones would be. But, yeah, he's incredible. Tell him I said hello. I miss Joe Witt Sr. I hadn't seen him in a long time. So, and Ben Tamborello, an all-time great, too. So, that's pretty cool.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, take care, guys. War Eagle.
War Eagle. Andy Burcham joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's with us thanks to Craneworks each and every week, every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Andy going to join us, break down the Auburn games from the previous week and look ahead to this upcoming week. We'll get to the Auburn opponent for this week a little bit later in the week, as we will with Alabama's. But we still want to get back to 2 questions that we have today, and that is, what can Alabama do this weekend to change your mind on this football team? We know the level of opponent, but we also know Bryant Vincent can get his team ready. Better be glad Ahmad Hardy's in Columbia, Missouri. I'll say that. Also, do you believe now there are more or less teams that can win a national championship than you did before the season began? We'll continue those discussions next right here on Jox. 8:17, Tuesday, September 2nd, right here on Jox. Listen online, joxfm.com. Apps in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can download it for free. Tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jox skill. And don't forget, you can watch us live on YouTube every morning. Search JOX945, and you'll see it. Go back and watch it throughout the course of the day. A lot of different ways that you can tune in here on Jox.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champion of GMC dealers. They do an amazing job, and all you got to do is go take a short drive up to Coleman. You'll see all the different things they have on the lot, like a GMC Sierra 1500 SLT. That, to me, is amazing. You can get that vehicle, $67,000 is what you'd pay locally or at other dealerships, but here at Bill Smith, you can get it $14,000 off the sticker. You can get it for $53,000. It's deals like that that keep people coming back. It's amazing why 75% of their business is repeat customers, because you have a better experience when you shop with Bill Smith. Take the short drive up to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, before we go back to the phones, Greg, we got a lot of people on hold. We asked the question, what can Alabama do to change your opinion of them this weekend? We know the opponent. We know what we saw last week. I'll ask you that question, get your answer before we get back to our callers. What can Alabama do to maybe greatly change your opinion of what you think they are and maybe what you think they can be?
Just strain your gut and play with max effort. Nothing about scheme, nothing about things like that can adjust your effort. Number two, they need to be, their best players need to play well. I mean, the world in college football has become more like the NFL. And in the NFL, if your best players don't play well, you have no shot. Want to know why? Because every team has, quote, best players now. It didn't used to be that way. Bama had all the best players, and the teams that they were playing against had one or two. Now, Bama's 1 or 2, 3, 5 best players need to be the 5 best players in the field, because the team with the best players that play the best will likely win the game. That's the reality. Number 3, I think they have to do a better job of being patient and committed to trying to run the football. I think the abandonment of that was problematic. I think they need to look in the mirror a bit and maybe utilize a little more perimeter run. I think they need to utilize Jeremy Bernard in multiple ways. He's grown tremendously as a wide receiver, but his backbone as a player has been as kind of an all-points bulletin type of player where you can run him on jet sweeps, get him the ball, get him involved, things like that. So that's number 3. Number 4, I think defensively, they probably need to become a little bit more, let's not try to defend everything. Let's go inflict violence. Like you and I talked about a little yesterday on the show. I want to see them, their linebackers, they play out of position, so what? Like, if they're out of a gap, so what? Hit the offensive lineman as hard as humanly possible. Hit someone, anyone, as hard as humanly possible. Like, where are the tone setters? And I think it can start with Deontay Lawson, who I expect to play better as he continues to get more comfortable off the knee. So I don't think the sky is falling. I don't think it's the end of the road. I was in the booth last year to watch Clemson lose 34-3 to Georgia, only to make a run, make corrections, play really well down the stretch, and make the college football playoff. I watched Texas 2 years ago, beat Bama at home. I watched Bama, the worst tape I ever watched of Alabama in my time as a player, as a fan, and as an analyst was Bama against UCF 2 years ago. That was the worst tape I ever watched.
USF.
Did I say UCF?
Yeah, it's all right. I wanted the people to know what you were talking about.
You knew what I mean. That was the worst tape I ever watched. That team rallied and ended up making it to the college football playoff and lost to the eventual national champions in overtime. Like, I don't think all is lost. I just think the onus now is attention to detail, physical, play with max effort, and execute. Because I think that they probably had some misconceptions about what they were going to be able to do in that game. Tip your cap, Florida State's a good football team. I think they are. But this needs to get addressed and get addressed quickly.
All right, let's go back to the phones. 800-239-9569. You want to get in your thoughts on the game? And we asked the question, what can Alabama do to shift your opinion this weekend? Michael and Moody is on the Higginbotham Hotline. Welcome in, Mike.
Hey, guys. Good morning. How are y'all doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Listen, I hope you guys can hear me. I'm a truck driver, so I'm on Bluetooth, so I apologize if there's reduction here. First off, Cole, let me just say to you, as an Alabama fan, a couple of callers ago, I love the way you break everything down and how you were just, so on top of everything with making it a clear picture for the folks that listen to it on the radio. But I don't know if you guys have heard the Crimson Conrad yesterday. That's his little poem out of the three-man front. I encourage your listeners to go back and listen to that. He's pretty spot on. But as far as what I've got to say as far as your question goes, I don't think there's anything that Alabama can show you this weekend is to make you feel any better. They could beat this team 70-0, and until they play Wisconsin and Georgia and show what they can do against the big boys, I don't think you can feel comfortable at all until you see them go against challenges like that. Your thoughts on that?
What do you think about that, G-Mac?
Well, it's hard to hear. So can you tell me like what he was kind of saying is hard to hear with the, I don't know if the windows are down or what. What did you catch from that?
Michael, ask Greg again exactly what you want him to answer.
I was just saying, as far as the question goes, what can Alabama prove to you differently this weekend? My personal opinion is there's nothing this weekend that they can come out and prove other than showing a little more effort. Because this is a team that, I don't care if you beat them 70-0, you're supposed to do that to this team you're going to face Saturday. So until we see Wisconsin and until we go to Georgia, there's not going to be anything that you can prove to me until you go up against the offensive and defensive lines of the big boys, so to speak.
Gotcha.
I gotcha. So I think what you can prove is effort more than anything else. I want to see defenders chasing the ball. I want to see swarming defenders. I want to see guys with their eyes in the right place. And hey, look, they might make plays. And Wisconsin might, and Georgia might, and Tennessee might. The teams are going to win some one-on-ones. Like, that happens. I can live with that. But what I don't want to see are freebies. I don't want to see guys that are misaligned. I don't want to see guys whose eyes are not being disciplined. Like, that to me is the most important thing. So that's what I'd like to see this week. The other thing I think I would like to see more than anything else is just, I want them to play relaxed. Like, we talked about this a lot yesterday. I think this team plays very, very tight when things get sideways. They did last year, and it's been on the road where things are a little bit more challenging. They have not played well on the road in Kalen's tenure, where they need to adjust their processes. I know this weekend will be at home, but I still think they need to loosen up. When things don't go their way early, like, just relax. Let the game come to you. No need to panic. No need to freak out. No need to start doing things, trying to play hero ball, doing things that are out of character. Like, just relax and allow the game to kind of dictate. Because I think this team watches the scoreboard. They did last year too. They watch the scoreboard and they get tight. And when you get tight, you can't play fast. And when you can't play fast, you can't make plays. And when you can't make plays, you don't win. So I think that's a real point of emphasis, I think, moving forward, is just to relax, calm down, don't get tight, and allow your play to do the talking.
All right, so we'll continue that. That's Greg's thoughts. I'll give you mine. We'll get to more of your calls on how Alabama can improve their perception for you this weekend. We'll do that next right here on Jox. Tuesday, September 2nd, 8:29 a.m. on Jox. Dari Noka of the SEC Network going to join us now, talk a little SEC football, maybe an emphasis on Oklahoma, John Mateer, and how that offense looked over the weekend. We'll go right to the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome Dari in. I want to start with this, Dari, because I'm asking our listeners this. What can Alabama do this weekend against this opponent to change your opinion greatly of who they are and maybe what they can be?
Hey, Cole, good morning. Look like they care. I think that would be a start. Play hard every play. Play to what Nick Saban, commonly called the Alabama standard, not play to the level of the competition. Look remotely like Alabama that we've gotten used to looking like. And frankly, just play with effort, passion, like it matters to them. I think that would be a start because I don't think we saw much of that Saturday.
Also, when you look at maybe what they can be moving forward, is there an aspect of this team that maybe let you down the most? Is there an aspect of this team that you saw this weekend that you say, I can still hang my hat on that part of this football team and have confidence they'll get it right moving forward?
Cole, I wish I could, and I'm probably just overreacting to what was just, frankly, a very sad effort. I'm not saying Florida State's not good. I do think they're good and much improved, and obviously Gus Malzahn's made a significant difference, as has, Castellanos. But if you get a team, this is what's baffled me the most, is how, this Alabama team can go, have a disappointing season by all Alabama standards. 9-4 is disappointing. So many pieces are back. They bring in this offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, that everybody thinks is going to be the difference maker on this team because of his relationship with Kalen. Then a quarterback comes to Florida State from BC, spends a little bit of time in the summer talking smack about you, and then you let him kind of walk all over you or run all over you, as it were. I didn't know who I was watching. I didn't. And I want to be able to say, I think they'll be fine. Heck, I picked them to win the national championship this year. So I want to say, they're going to be fine. It's a long season. But given a lack of effort, Herbie during the LSU-Clemson broadcast was talking about Alabama, and he used the word lethargic. And I don't know, Cole, you played this game a long time. I don't know if there's a worse term that can be used to describe a football team and its coach's impact on that football team than saying they looked lethargic. And if it was if they played their tails off and got beat on a couple of fluky plays or phenomenal efforts by Florida State, I would maybe have a better outlook than I do after watching them Saturday. But it isn't great. My estimation, it isn't great.
There's one word that I would hate to have directed towards me than that, and it would start with the letter Q. I don't put that on kids because I don't always know if that's the case. But that's the one that I can think of that would be worse, and there are not many others. I also asked this question, Dari. Going into the weekend and now, do you think there are more teams that can win a national title or less teams that can win a national title?
From the SEC specifically?
No, just across the board.
In general. Well, I think there are more, honestly, because I think there are less that looked national championship worthy. So by nature of not having two or three teams just jump to the forefront and say, holy smokes, they are head and shoulders above everybody else, I think that brings a lot more teams into the mix. So I would say by virtue of less dominant teams in week one, I would say there are more that are in play.
Let's go to Oklahoma. Dari Noka of the SEC Network with us on the Higginbotham hotline. I don't always expect things this new with this many pieces to just work the way it did. I know the level of the opponent, but I thought Mateer looked great. I thought his operation of the offense was clean, crisp, precise. Seeing some of the receivers like Deion Burks out there appear to be close to 100%, operate the way that they did. There are things that can be cleaned up. I didn't think the run game looked great. I want the traditional run game to still be able to go. Some of that's going to be the scheme. But, man, I don't know how you're not just thrilled beyond imagination if you're an Oklahoma fan with what you saw from he in that offense.
Oh, I think everybody is, Cole, to be honest with you. The biggest concern is still the offensive line. I still think it's a fair concern. But at the same time, they were down two starters, and depending on what depth chart you want to believe, maybe three. And the expectation is at least the majority of that expected starting five will be there for Michigan on Saturday, and we certainly hope that it would be. But no, John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle, you could see the chemistry that OC and quarterback have. literally from the first play from scrimmage, the quick roll right, quick throw, decisiveness. He was very quick on his throws, good release, obviously. He can get out of situations that a lot of quarterbacks can't. And the biggest thing is having healthy wide receivers. Deion Burks is 100% and is sensational. Isaiah Satania is better than I realized he was, and I kept hearing that over the course of fall camp out of Norman. And then they might have found another guy in Keontez Lewis, the Southern Illinois transfer, who had 9 catches, and he's kind of a go-to guy. And I think they've got other guys that will continue to kind of come out and be big pieces of that offense. And they still don't have Giovanni Gibson, who they expected to be, maybe their first or second target. So they're looking, I think, at an early October return for him. So really, really optimistic. The run game has got to be better. It's kind of a mystery what's going on with Jaden Ott, why he only played in the fourth quarter on offense, 4 snaps and had 1 carry. And Torrey Blaylock, true freshman running back, looked really good, but there's concern that he suffered a shoulder injury that may keep him out of Michigan. So, I would expect Ott to kind of be the featured back a little bit against Michigan, and that run game needs to be established. But all in all, first game, it looked pretty darn smooth offensively, and I think everybody's pretty happy with that.
Well, I know a lot of folks didn't watch it, but if they did, the ones that were laughing at me for saying that it's the best defensive line in the SEC would have gotten a full example of why folks believe that. The interior specifically of that group, similar to what I said about Tennessee, looked like they picked up right where they left off. Like literally have not missed a beat up front in that defense, and more so in the middle than on the edges. But man, I just thought to myself, that's what we thought we were going to get right there.
Yep, no doubt. Dominic Williams is kind of this immovable force right at nose tackle. You know what you're going to get out of him, transferred from TCU a couple of years ago. But Grayson Halton had been a little banged up. Good to see him get a lot of run. And David Stone. I mean, this was a 5-star kid a couple of years back that entered the portal so briefly in the offseason and decided to go back to OU. He got a lot of run. Jaden Jackson's a freshman All-American last year. They're rotating Williams, Halton, Stone, and Jackson kind of on the regular. We got to see a guy, Marcus Strong, who they think can be really, really big down the road. So good rotation. You saw a lot of guys get to play, and every single one of them was effective there.
I was wondering when you were going to get Jackson in there. I think Jackson might be my favorite one. And,
he's a stud.
Yeah, I mean, he's big time. So when you get this matchup this weekend against Michigan freshman quarterback, we know what Brett's going to put out there. It's going to be a lot of confusion, simulated pressures, dropping guys, moving guys, weird fronts. Offensively, can the run game operate the way that it did last week, and they win this football game against Michigan this weekend?
Probably not. I think they're going to have to be able to run the ball, to be honest. And I watched that Michigan game last night. I didn't watch it at all Saturday. I just didn't have a chance. I sat and I watched it last night. And I was really watching for Bryce Underwood, who looks the part. I mean, that dude has an absolute cannon, quick release. Some balls he might throw a little bit harder than he needs to. He had a couple of nice touch throws, though. I think it was play 4, coming out of his own end zone, defender in his face. He's on his back foot, and he just flips that fade down the sideline. And that's as good a throw as you're going to see all year, honestly. It really is. That's
just because,
the touch throw, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Led
man.
the receiver. The receiver had to make a nice catch, full extension. But, yes, like that was pretty nice. Because I'm sitting there thinking he's going to throw everything 100 miles an hour, and then he lets that thing fly. And I'm like, all right, okay. So he's got that ability. He didn't run there was not a single quarterback run. And I think that was intentional. I think they wanted to hold that. He only had 2 carries. Both were sacks. So we did not get to see him scamper and except to throw. That concerns me a little bit. I think we're going to see plenty of that this week in Norman, but he looked the part. But I was really impressed. Now, again, you got to take into account who they were playing. And New Mexico is a team full of transfers and a first-year head coach came from Idaho. So, but I thought that offensive line was scary good. And you talk about OU's defensive front, it's going to be tested because that offensive line and that, that interior zone blocking scheme that allowed Justice Haynes to bounce a couple to the right after getting through that line of scrimmage, it looked easy. And again, the competition will be better this week for them with Oklahoma, but that offensive line looked pretty darn good. So that was a concern watching them last night.
You brought that up a moment ago. This may be sort of the question coming out of the weekend moving forward is quarterback run management. And how does that operate and work for the next 6, 8, 10 weeks? You think about Auburn and Jackson Arnold. You think about South Carolina, Lenora Sellers. You just mentioned Oklahoma. Mateer didn't get many, but he did put himself in harm's way a couple of times. And maybe that's the question that we look at and say, okay, most of these teams at the top, I mean, Mississippi State ran Blake Shapen a little bit. We know how different they are when they don't have him. Do you really try to manage it? Do you try to hold it back? When do you let your guys go? Like Austin Simmons and Ole Miss. Like they got a backup quarterback that can get it and can run, and he can be their mobile guy, but you're still going to probably move Austin Simmons a little bit. How protective are you? That could be the question for, Marcel Reed and A&M. That could be a massive question just for the rest of this year, Dari, of how do these coaches manage quarterback run because they're so different with the next guy.
And just the lack of depth that this era in college football has created, right? I mean, if Joey Aguilar, Tennessee, he was scooting around and he looked really good doing it, but I'd be concerned if I thought, by the way, he played sensational football, and Josh has a guy there, but no, I'm with you on that. And when you look at Underwood, I don't know how much of it was to protect him and how much of it was just because you didn't need to and you didn't want to see Oklahoma watch him run. But I think that's a fair assessment. Mateer did a really good job of avoiding heavy contact. I thought he got down responsibly, intelligently, did not put himself too much in harm's way. But everybody's one shot away from changing the entire season with a lack of depth that most of these programs
and I didn't even bring up Arch in Texas. I didn't bring up Gunnar Stockton in Georgia. He ran the ball a bunch. I mean, that's going to be interesting to watch. Some of these quarterbacks that kind of got loose week one, and if they do it again this week, and if the coaches kind of look at them and say, all right, man, that's cool, but we need you to step out of bounds.
Right?
Yeah, we need you to slide.
And you look at Gunnar and Mateer, very similarly built. And it's easy for people to say, oh, they can take contact. You're one shot to the knee away from being done. I don't care how big you are.
All you got to do is take a helmet on your throwing hand.
That too. No doubt. You're right. So, no, I'd be scared having a guy that's getting loose a little bit too much. They've got to be really, really aware of what's around them and get the heck down or out of bounds. I'm with you on that.
And, it's interesting because Lane told us when we met with him, he said, we don't really want to run Austin. He's not really built for that. He can do it. And actually, Nick Savage, the strength coach, told me that he's hit over 20 miles an hour on the GPS. So he can run. I know. I was surprised to hear that. And Lane saying he's not built for it. When you stand next to Austin Simmons, though, you're kind of like, this dude's put together. I mean, he's what you're saying about Gunnar Stockton, like he's thick. And for them to say that they're a little concerned about it, that's just interesting to hear. And that kind of goes a little bit further with how cautious are some of these coaches going to be by allowing these guys to run when they ask them to run, how much they need them to run. It'll be cool to watch kind of how that's managed across the course of the season. Dari, we appreciate the time, man. Always great stuff. Great job this weekend, and look forward to catching up soon.
Hey, thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you later, man. Thanks for having me.
Sounds good. Dari Noka joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. A couple of you still on hold. We'll get back to our question for the callers. What can Alabama do to change your mind this weekend? Can they shift your mindset and opinion of what you saw against Florida State with what they can do Saturday night? We'll discuss that more next right here on Jox. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 8:46 Tuesday, September 2nd, right here on Jox 94.5. We get the NFL later this week, another round of college football this week. Plenty of time to get to all those. Looking back a little bit from over the weekend, asking you the question, what can Alabama do to change your mind of what you think they are, what you think they can be this upcoming weekend? 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX if you want to get in. First, I'll tell you about your CBD store. If you're trying to lose a little bit of weight, the Trim by SunMed in stock now at the largest brick-and-mortar CBD retailer in the world. First company to have USDA-certified organic oil supplements. If it's skincare, gut health, they can help you with that. Taking the edge off in the evenings, better energy throughout the course of the day, better focus throughout the course of the day. Your CBD store has those products. And if it's your pet, dealing with arthritis, anxiety, skincare, gut health, they have products that can help those guys out also. They've helped multiple pets in my household with arthritis, getting older, trying to move around the house, and helping their daily routine be just a little bit better. They can do it all for you at one of their 3 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cage in Cleaver, Trustful just off 459, your CBD store where good health hits home. All right, let's go to Beham Dog, wants to chime in on games from over the weekend. Dog, welcome in.
Hey, thanks, guys. Good morning. Enjoying the short week. I know that's nothing for you guys. I don't think y'all get a short week, do y'all? Anyway, I like Greg, I know nobody wants to talk about Georgia football today, but I do. But it does tie into Alabama. Like Greg, I was so high on Carson Beck last year, even through his interceptions. And I'll throw out the fact that we third in the conference with most sacks allowed, 14th in the conference in rushing offense, and the worst receiving group in the country. And the guy still managed to lead us to an SEC championship and throw for almost 4,000 yards. I don't even know how that's even possible with the other intangibles that wrapped around him. And I think now Georgia fans see how good this guy can be over Miami. And that's what makes Miami the threat they are. But on to Alabama. Did Georgia – I feel like I watched an episode of Freaky Friday with Georgia and Alabama. The not being able to protect the quarterback, not being able to run the football, drop passes, just very uncharacteristic of Ron Williams dropping passes. And on Georgia's side, having a guy that takes a 14-yard bubble screen to the house in Zach Branch. And then I'll wrap up by adding to that, this may be the best player that Kirby Smart has had on offense since he's been at Georgia, and he could be a difference maker that could take this Georgia offense to the next level, something we haven't seen under Kirby. And on the defense, man,
Hold on a second. Who do you think it could be his best player on offense? I'm sorry.
Zach Branch, the transfer from USC.
Yeah, not better than Brock Bowers.
No. Not. I'm talking about this team.
This team. Okay. I
not
thought you
overall,
said
not
best
overall.
offensive player he's had at Georgia. And I was just kind of like, hold on a second. We need to pump the brakes here.
Yeah. No, just a difference maker. Brock Bowers, guy's a legend. He's always going to be a legend. But this kid he's special. I mean, he's fast. We just hadn't had that twitch. Other teams have had that twitch and that just true speed that could take one to the house. Georgia hasn't had that in a while. I can't go. I don't know when the last time we've had that.
No, you had like a Mecole Hardman that was kind of your deep guy.
Yeah,
you actually had you've
one.
had Aaron Smith was that for the last couple of years. You just couldn't catch the ball. I mean, that's
true.
You got to at least secure the ball when it comes your way. And I'm in trouble for talking ball security today, so I should probably stop. But either way, I do think it gives them a different element. I think the screen game is going to be great. You saw the emphasis on the downhill run game. I think they're going to try to be more physical and then take advantage of those shot plays, knowing that there'll be an extension of the run game through some of the screens. There's too many weapons not to pitch the ball around. You got a mobile quarterback. I love the young offensive linemen. I mean, they played some bully ball against a team that they should bully. So I felt good about what I saw with Georgia, man. And you didn't even get Mendoza out there very much. Maybe he comes into his own and helps the defense a little bit. So.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was actually impressed with the O-line play. Again, albeit it was Marshall. You got to take it for what it's worth. But on the defensive side, a lot of youth out there, but a lot of athleticism, a lot of passion, a lot of fire. Is that something that will the youth finally catch up with them as far as inexperience, or is that something that they will gain confidence and get better, and then the athleticism and the physicality will remain throughout the season? I'll hang up and listen, guys, and go Dogs. Have a great week, guys.
Appreciate the call. I would say it can, because health and just the grind sometimes can wear guys down, but mean, Gabe Harris been playing forever. Jordan Hall been playing for a while. Christian Miller's been playing forever. Raylan Wilson played last year. KJ Bolden played last year. I know they're younger, but it's still a lot of guys that have played a lot of football. If you can get Mendoza going, he's played a ton of football. So Xavier McLeod's played a lot. But so yeah, there's some youth out there, but I still think there's enough experience and guys that have been in the system and played enough football to know this is how it goes and this is what we need to do. And I think you're playing some of those guys early to maybe satisfy them, knowing you're not going to give them as many reps in all the SEC games. You need to take care of some guys for the home stretch. Don in Southside wants to chime in. Welcome in, Don.
Hey, always good listen to your show there, Cole. Let me throw up props out to Golden Dome or calls you because it's top of the morning that it's a Scottish or Irish greeting. My grandpa used to do that, and it brings back good memories to me. Top of the morning.
Very cool.
But anyway, getting to Alabama. Do you think Alabama needs to have one of these, what they call come to Jesus meetings, like a player-only meeting? Would that do any good? Get Tim Keenan, a couple of these guys, Miller maybe, to dress some people up and down, particularly on the defensive side where they're running away from people? Or do you think that
depends on the leadership of the team?
Yeah.
Depends on the leadership, Don, because I can tell you this. I have been a part of some team meetings that went really poorly and made things worse. Been a part of some team meetings that helped a lot. I'm sure Greg would say the same. It all depends on who's running it and where they allow it to go. Because there's a lot of places that are going to be necessary that it goes, and there might be some places that are unnecessary that it goes, and you need to avoid that. So people need to know when to cut certain things off. Yeah, it's tough.
Especially with the NIL now, and people get his head somewhere else. Yeah, I think I need to see some something from some of these guys that Quaru saw. I don't know if I saw him show up. I've already erased the game because it was so ratty, so I can't go back and really watch it. It wasn't anything worth watching other than the first drive. But, Overton, get Keenan back. I don't know if Keenan's maybe on a faster track to get back than Miller, but obviously Miller was primed, ready to go. All of these teams have guys running, Arnold running like he did against Baylor. Now, Baylor, one of my guides says Baylor had one of the worst defenses. So Auburn may need to cool the heels a little bit. Their big test will be coming up with Oklahoma, just like Alabama's. They'll be playing their big team a week before Alabama does, and then we'll see what Georgia's got against Tennessee. And so it'll be an interesting season. I'm not ready to throw Alabama under the bus yet, but I go to the games, so you got to when you go down there, you want to see effort. So I'll be there for Ulm. And they're the only team worse than Ball State, so they should win big. But
we appreciate the call, and we'll see if they can find a way to sort of change the narrative a little bit this weekend. Claude is on the Higginbotham hotline. Claude, how you doing?
Good morning, guys. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
Just got a few questions, Cole, for you and Greg. I want to preface it by saying that I played football in high school and a little bit in college back in the late 60s, early 70s, but not at the level that you guys have played. So that's why I'm deferring to you for some of these questions. But I don't know what it's going to take for Alabama to fix what's wrong. But, everybody says DeBoer is a player's coach. He's this, he's that. Well, there's stories coming out now about curfew, no curfew. I saw before the game players with their cell phones in their hands warming up. Are you guys still there?
Yeah, that's how they listen to their music. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that.
That's not uncommon at all. Like I don't. That doesn't bother me a lick. Players, they're listening to music. It's not a big deal. A little more concerned about stuffed animals being carried in off the bus and things like that. But I think a come to Jesus player meeting is a healthy one. But you don't want to start, destroying each other either, because you're all each other's got right now. If you listen to these phone calls for the last 2 hours.
We'll see where it goes. One more hour of show. We got more calls from you and Barry Trammell talking Oklahoma next, right here on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to talk some Oklahoma football with Barry Trammell here in just a moment as John Mateer looks great in the season opener. Before we get to Barry Trammell, I'll tell you about Game Day Men's Health. If you're feeling on edge, if you're lacking sleep, lacking energy, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you. What about losing weight? They have multiple weight loss programs they want to get you on. And don't forget, the office in Trustville is open now. So if you're like Pat Smith, you live out that direction, want to make it a little bit easier, as easier as it can get. It's already easy. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Sign up for the free consultation. You get a free PSA test, free testosterone test. Then you go in. They let you know where your baseline health is. They give you the options that they have, and they let you know what they can do for you. Save 10% on any of those options by mentioning you heard them on Mac and Cube in the morning. And don't forget, minimal upfront cost from the programs that they offer. So they have the peptides in stock, multiple weight loss programs. Go check them out today at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Barry Trammell covers Oklahoma. He's with us now on the Higginbotham hotline. Is there an overreaction there in Norman, Barry, of just how good this offense looked over the weekend?
I'm sure there is, yes. That always happens when you play a 1AA opponent. But, you know, the one thing I would say is the ball doesn't care who you're playing against. And when John Mateer's passes are flying through the air, they look awfully good. I mean, that much I think you can count on, that he zips a pretty good football. But the rest of it, you can't go very far down the road. Illinois State's a good, solid FCS team.
but the difference in competition starting Saturday really goes way up. So reason for optimism, but right now that's what most of it is just optimism.
This week is so massive, I feel like, for Brent Venables. And look, he's won the offseason in many ways, and yet I still talk to a lot of Oklahoma fans that need to see more. You know, how big is this game for him and just kind of altering his perception within the fan base?
Well, I think it's big. You know, what I say about Venables is he's got a chance to change the narrative. And the truth is, he's been a disappointment as a head coach. He's lacking in some things that even, you know, people on the outside can see in terms of organization and communication. And he's 23 and 17, and you know, some of those he's over 500 because he gets to play 2 or 3 completely overmatched teams a year. So he's been a disappointment as a head coach. If they they're going to hire, if they got to do it all over again, they wouldn't hire him. However, that's not the world you live in. He is the coach. He has the job, and he's got a pretty good, what looks like the makings of a pretty good team. He can change that narrative. But this is where it starts. Michigan now, and then Auburn in 2 weeks, and you know, then eventually Texas and Ole Miss, South Carolina on down the road. So, yeah, I think it's a big game. He's got about 8 of those this year, and he needs to win a bunch of them to let people know, not just to keep his job. Forget that; that'll work itself out one way or the other. But just to let people know, hey, you got the right guy.
There's no shortage of prove-it games for Oklahoma this year, Barry. I think we would all be in agreement there. What was the thought of the defense coming out of this game? Like you said, level of opponent. We're not going to just make grand conclusions, but I felt pretty good about what I saw up front, and it didn't look like it was much different as far as how he was running it. What were the thoughts of this coaching staff?
Yeah, no, they played really good, and I mean they dominated. Illinois State had a couple of runs, double-digit runs, 12, 16-yard runs, but your standards are pretty high when, you know, that's what you pick at. You know, Illinois State, like a lot of 1AA teams, had a mobile quarterback who could run around. Wasn't John Elway or anybody, but he could run around and make some plays, and they held him in check pretty good. So, yeah, the surprising thing for the Sooners is the secondary is actually looking really good. Gentry Williams is healthy, so you know he was banged up all last year, and he's a difference maker. So all of a sudden they seem pretty deep in the secondary, and that was the one question mark, corner particularly, and that's looking pretty good. So all arrows moving up on the defense, and you know Brent deserves credit for changing the defensive culture at Oklahoma. You guys know what it was like before he got there. I mean, you know, they were expecting to win every game 42-35 or 56-49, depending on if Patrick Holmes is the other quarterback. And those days are gone. You know, they win games sort of the old-fashioned way and normal way. So he deserves credit for that. Now, if the offense can get in gear, you know, they've got the makings of a ball team.
The offensive line also a group that we're all real curious about. It's no secret they're going to have to be great this weekend, given what they're going to be up against with the edge rushers that Michigan has. How does the staff feel about the growth at that position, and is that a group that we should no longer view as a liability?
I would view it as a liability until further notice. I mean, the coaching staff is keeping a stiff upper lip, but that was the one thing coming out of Illinois State that was an alarm, a serious alarm. The Sooners really couldn't run the ball. In true running plays, they averaged 2.8 yards a carry. And there weren't many gaps, not many seams. I think freshman tailback Troy Blaylock had an 11-yard gain. I think that was the longest run. And they didn't push Illinois State around. So that's a problem, especially with Michigan coming to town. So, you know, they had a couple of guys out, held a couple of guys out that are supposed to be back, and that should help. But last year, you know, I mean, the truth of the matter is OU's offense stunk last year, and The easy people to blame anytime your offense stinks is the coordinator and the quarterback, and they got rid of both of those guys. And Seth Luttrell hasn't resurfaced as a coordinator, but Jackson Arnold has. And you know what? He didn't look half bad in Waco, and it made you think, maybe it wasn't all Jackson Arnold's fault last year. So the offensive line's got to play a lot better. The new receivers look pretty good. They caught the ball. Some good crossing patterns, deep balls, that kind of thing. So that part of it, maybe they've worked out, but no evidence yet that they've patched together a good offensive line.
Can you clarify just some of those injuries for us? Who may be back? What they're expecting to get back this week against Michigan?
Yeah, they got a couple of guys. The freshman 5-star, Michael Fasici. He's a guy that they think might start from day one, and held him out. Heath Ozada's a veteran who has played a lot and was expected to start at guard, and he didn't play either. So those two guys very well could be starting on Saturday, and they didn't play against Illinois State. So hopefully that would be, a difference and really help. But I tell people, I don't care how good the guy is. I don't care if he's Anthony Munoz. If you're depending on a true freshman on the offensive line, that's not a good sign, because, that's the last place on the football team that a true freshman is expected to make an impact. And to me, if a true freshman comes in and starts, it means two things. It means you got a great true freshman, and it means you didn't have much depth on your roster before you got there. So we'll see how those two guys help. They got to play better against Michigan. The one thing, they pass protected okay. It was the run blocking that, and there have been times in Oklahoma's last 10, 12 years where, they just didn't run it well, and they just let one of their great quarterbacks fling it around all day, and it generally worked out. I don't think that's what they want to be with John Mateer. I don't think that's what anybody wants to be with anybody. If you have to, you can do it, but far better if you can run the ball a little bit.
Absolutely. Barry, great stuff. You never cease to amaze. The Anthony Munoz drop, one of the best name drops we've had on this program. So thanks for joining us today.
Oh, you bet, guys. See you later.
Barry Tremble joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline and discussing a little bit of Oklahoma. Massive matchup against Michigan this weekend. That's why they'll get a lot of attention, not to mention John Mateer looked great in his debut. Greg, I don't know if you had a chance to go back and watch that Oklahoma film just yet. What were your thoughts?
I liked it. I thought it was solid. Obviously, against lesser competition. I do expect them to utilize Jaden Ott a little more as they move forward. But I thought a pretty impressive takeaway of what I kind of saw from them was kind of the depth of weapons. Like I'm not surprised that Deion Burks is a good player. That's not news. But I do think it was pretty encouraging to kind of see some of the other guys step up. I mean, can have a converted linebacker playing tight end and do some nice things, be a real contributor. To see Keontae Lewis have a nice game, I think that was encouraging. So I knew that they had Deion Burks and how difficult he is to defend, but they have a lot more than I guess I originally anticipated.
Yeah, there were a lot of positives coming out of that one for Oklahoma. I don't think anybody would deny that. So we'll see if it carries over. We have been asking you to join us on the Higginbotham Hotline, 800-239-9569, going back to the Alabama game against Florida State. Taking on ULM this weekend, what can they do to change your opinion? How will your opinion change if this were to happen? You let us know your thoughts. Randall wants to chime in on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's in Birmingham. Welcome into the show, Randall.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
I come away from the Florida State game, and I might not be so blowing the horn on this team already. Like, there was some good things in that game. Defense, they were a letdown. But the offense, they at least did try to put forth an effort in the third and fourth quarter. They could have just threw the hat in, too. But I seen some fight in them. I didn't see that much quitting there. I was disappointed with some of the schemes we were running on defense. But going forward, I feel like this team, they have everything left to prove to themselves this game one, guys. Let's calm down a little bit, and let's get behind our guys, and let's rally.
There it is. Love the optimism, Randall. Love the positivity in the morning. Maybe we need more of that. AJ is in Florida, wants to chime in on Alabama heading into this weekend. Welcome in, AJ.
Hey, guys. So kudos to Randall, but I am going to be the opposite of Randall. And so my prediction, I said everything about the schedule. I think we're losing to Vanderbilt again. I think Diego Pavia is the wrong kind of quarterback. It's kind of a weird year. So you look at the quote-unquote winnable SEC game, they've all got dynamic mobile quarterbacks. I think we're kind of screwed on that. So anyway, let me get to the point of my question. And you guys are a lot more knowledgeable than me about some of the finances of the sport now. This buyout, when can we fire this guy? Explain that. I know it's $69 million. You guys are a little more in the know. What are we looking like? What's the realistic option for getting rid of this guy?
I'm not.
It's not. It's not happening. Like Bama does not have $69 million just sitting aside when the priority has been generating a ton of money for the NIL. Like you fire a coach, you now have $70 million that could have gone towards improving your roster. That now is wasted. So it's just not happening. So I mean, I don't know why people continue to get on that marching. They got a lot of people marching for that. I don't see it.
Okay, fair enough. That's why I asked. So
Yeah.
Follow-up question. What does it look like in terms of the culture of big boosters pulling NIL money when they see the product? Does that become a problem? Do you get it from both sides where now the money won't come in for NIL because of the performance on the field? It's a different game now that we're playing, and I do recognize like firing a coach now. I mean, you in the old days you fire a coach, your players couldn't transfer. I mean, this could be a situation you fire the coach and I mean, what you're like an all-freshman team or something. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean that we saw that with Coach Saban retiring and 47 guys leaving or entering the portal, and how hard it is to replicate that from a depth standpoint and other aspects. So yeah, I mean that's a huge issue. I also still think like regardless, when you start playing the coach rolled game, like when was the last time Auburn had a winning season? Like, I know they might get one this year. Like I hope they do for them. That'd be great. But when you start playing the coach carousel game, you get into massive problems. Tell me a lot of teams that have been just rolling through coaches that have had success. Tennessee went through it in the 10s. Worst run in Tennessee football history because they kept hiring and firing coaches over and over again. So it's just not going to happen. It's not even worth really entertaining at this point. You just got to figure out, okay, what do we need to be from a scheme standpoint to better accentuate what we are? How do I get the guys playing fast and physical? How do I get them playing free? That's the biggest key. And guess what? Like I think all of that can be done. I really still believe that. I really do. So all is not lost. Just got to remain positive and supportive and hope they can make some of the adjustments going forward.
All right, we'll see if some of that can happen. We'll go to Hastings, get his thoughts from over the weekend and heading into this weekend, what could change his mind. Hastings, welcome in. You're on the Higginbotham Hotline.
Yeah, hey, guys. One of my big things is, like, the effort. You got to see the effort. You got to see the intensity, physicality, but also, like, go out there, and Kalen said it yesterday, go, like, have fun. And this team looks like they're out there trying not to lose games rather than win games, and that used to not be the case. I mean, they wanted to go out there and kick your teeth in. Now it's like, oh my gosh, like we just can't make a mistake. We can't lose. And, I don't know if it's, the Bama syndrome where they're so worried about making a mistake that's something that hinders them. But, when you watch all their road games last year, I didn't think that anything was really – I mean, I thought that you would, hopefully win, but I didn't think it was that surprising. I mean, every game on the road last year. And people saying, well, if we had Jalen Milroe – did you watch the Jalen Milroe Oklahoma game? It was just as bad. But and by the way, everybody's saying that Kalen DeBoer, we need to get rid of – like, Kalen DeBoer just needs to figure it out because, like, $69.3 million ain't happening. Like, You deplete your NIL, and then you got to go buy another coach out probably and give him a similar contract. Like, there's just no way. Kalen just needs to figure it out. But what I don't understand is like his Washington players that transferred were the ones that gave the most effort. I mean, look at Brailsford. Brailsford picking up a fumble and actually put him at running back. And then you got Jeremy Bernard, who's I mean, granted, Williams is getting double teamed and stuff, but like that's not every play. He's out there making plays and driving people downfield and actually trying to get blocks. And I just don't understand where, they look like they're having fun. They're all in it together, and they take a lot of pride in it. And when you look at Kalen DeBoer's Washington team, they were disciplined. They did do all that stuff. So I guess my question is, like, what has changed from Washington to here, and what can he do to fix it? And I'll hang up and listen, but, hey, I'm not worried about it yet. Appreciate you guys taking my call. We'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks.
Appreciate the call.
Good observation. I never saw any loafs or issues at Washington with effort. Did you, Cole?
No, it was never really an issue for me.
I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. Like, the players got to take some ownership, man, and I agree with them completely. Like, hey, yes, tough outing. Guess what? Let's fix it. Take some ownership, go fix it. So I think a lot of it has to do with some of the guys, and let's be real. Like, when your best players in some cases are kind of acting a little prima donna on the field. I don't care about their lifestyle outside the field. What you do between the white lines is all I care about. I literally don't care beyond that. But, like, I need Ryan Williams to be a dude every single time you take the field. I need Caden Proctor to be able to not get beat inside. Like, I need those guys, your tone setters, your best players, to play at a high level. You know what I mean? Like, be tough. Like, if your team is going to follow, your team's going to take on the personality of your best players. Like, when your best players are the war daddies, when your best players are the tone setters, when your best players are the leaders, like, the team is going to take on that personality. When your best players are not those things, the team will not live up to expectations. So I think it's very important for the best players to take ownership of the performance last weekend and change it. Because no one's listening to the backup left guard. I'm sorry, no one's going to listen to that guy. No one's listening to the guy that's playing 15 snaps a game at safety. Like, no one's listening to the kicker. Like, the people are going to listen to the guys that are out there producing. And that's why I think it's important. It's not calling anybody out. It's just Deontay Lawson. He's one of the most productive players on the team in his career. He needs to be the tone setter. He needs to be the voice. And he needs to play like it too. Ryan Williams, he's the best player pound for pound maybe on the team. If he plays like he plays on Saturday, I would honestly consider not even having him out there. And I know he's questionable day to day or whatnot, but if he runs routes the way he ran routes last weekend, like, you need to think about maybe, hey, you need to take a little time on the side and let someone else have a shot. I don't care how good you are, So I think your best players got to be the tone setters, got to set the tone, man. Because Rolando McClain was our best player in 2009. And guess what? Rolando would fight you if you weren't giving maximum effort. Who's that guy on this roster? Because that ain't coming from coaches. You think Rolando McClain was a good leader and an identity setter and an accountability police? You think he was that way because he played for Nick Saban? If Rolando McClain played for Kalen DeBoer, he'd still be the same tone setter. Mike Johnson on offense was our tone setter. He was our leader on offense. And if guys weren't doing what they needed to do, he was literally going to physically beat them up, whether it's on the field or in the locker room. Like, who's that guy on this team? That's what I want to know. And it's got to be someone big time. I don't know who it's going to be, because right now I haven't seen those qualities from some of the guys that it needs to be coming from. Cole, do you see it similarly?
Yeah, for sure. That's like you said, lead by example. It's the best way. And it's tough to lead when you're not one of those guys that's out there playing and contributing. It's just kind of the reality of the situation and where it is. 800-239-9569. You can also text into the show, 205-834-9450. A bunch of you tweeting into the show. We'll continue to get to your feedback on what Alabama can do to change your mind about that football team this upcoming weekend. Also, more or less teams now than before the season started that you believe can win a national championship. All that and more next on Jox. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 9:24 right here on Jox Online, joxfm.com. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. Hit us on the phones. What can Alabama do to change your opinion this weekend? 800-239-9569. Before we go back to those phones, Greg, tell our listeners about Crocker Moving Services.
Well, they're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Derek Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home. Whether you need your whole home packed up and moved, your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room, these guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website is crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
All right. 800-239-9569. If you want to get in and give us your thoughts on how Alabama can change your opinion of what they are based on what they do this weekend. Larry is in Phoenix City, wants to chime in.
Good morning, guys. Hey, Greg, I couldn't agree with you more about players taking ownership of the way they looked Saturday against Florida State. I'm just wondering from both of you guys, when they come in on Sunday or Monday and break down the film with the players, and they see guys like Ryan Williams not running routes or looking almost afraid when he was going across the middle, and Caden Proctor not moving his feet, are they calling these players in these meetings saying, hey, look at this. You didn't make your move. You didn't, run your route.
Everybody can see it.
Are they afraid to call these players out now?
No, I mean, I think everybody can see it, like the players. That's what I think's amazing. Like 2 years ago, explain to me this. How many people blamed Nick Saban for the USF performance? Honestly.
Almost everybody, especially on social media.
See, I don't think people blame Nick Saban. I think they blame the players.
Well, not what I'm saying is I think that it was kind of fiasco with the quarterback situation that day. You know what I mean? And the weather delay and all that.
Yeah, I mean, circumstances or whatnot. But I think at the end of the day, like the coach can do everything in his power. And look, as someone that played, like I know, like the onus lies on the players. Like the players have to go out there and do it. They have to go out there and be the inflictor of pain. Like they have to.
Well, I understand that part of it.
And there's only and when you go back and you watch the tape from this past weekend, nothing needs to be said. Like literally nothing needs to be said. You just put on the clips and you say, all right, ask yourself this question. If I were leading the meeting rooms, the individual team meeting rooms this weekend, I would genuinely have gotten up there as the coach and I would have said, I want everyone in this room to take out a piece of paper. I want everyone in this room to take out a pen, not a pencil, a pen. We usually grade in pencil because we can make adjustments. No, I want a pen, and I want you to exclusively grade, not your performance as far as your what you did from a concept standpoint. I want you to physically grade whether or not you gave that individual play your best. Because that's the best you have to offer. And you can evaluate that as many different ways as you want. Did you give max effort? Did you play with enough intensity within that play? Did you attack and do what you were supposed to do? Did you play the assignment properly? Like include whatever it is you want to include. But we have one grade on this tape, and we're going to go every single play. You watch yourself and you grade yourself and give me the papers after the fact, and we'll see if we agree. Did you give me your very best on that play? Yes or no? And I'd be willing to bet that when you really go through it, and if these players really want to scrutinize their own performance, that's how you get through to them. That's what I'd do if I were running the team this week. And it's not about execution. It's not about mistakes. Mistakes happen. Did you do your best on that play? Yes or no? And if the guys don't figure it out off that, I don't know what to tell you.
It's going to be a lot of no's, I think, on that, if you're being honest with yourself, and that also has to take place. Bama B is in Birmingham. Bama B, welcome in.
Hey, guys. Thank y'all for taking my call. Love y'all's show. Enjoy listening to y'all every day. But I wanted to ask a question to Greg. Greg, you said a few months ago that when you played at Alabama, that the last thing that the coaches were worried about was how you felt about everything. And I just wanted to know if you think this NIL and the money now is just creating this soft environment, because Coach DeBoer the other day in his press conference said, well, the way the kids think and just alluding to how they feel during the game. What are your thoughts on that?
And Cole's hit the nail. Cole, you have a great take on this with just how it's affected college football nationwide.
Here's the thing, in the way that I like to put it, Bama B, is that when Greg and I played, before I played, maybe even just after Greg played, like, we didn't have parachutes. There were no parachutes. And those coaches would open the door of the plane and they would say, you can leave anytime you want. Ground might hurt. Good luck getting up in the wilderness and finding another place to go. And that's just what it was. You want to go to JUCO? You want to go down D3? You want who was going to take you? Because first and foremost, when you transferred back then, there was this scarlet letter on that you were a problem. It's just that's what it was. What came with it? What did he do wrong? What coach did he get in a fight with? Where did he get in trouble? He must be lazy at practice. It's not like it is now. These guys got multiple parachutes a day. Every day. You want the parachute on the left side of the plane, the right side of the plane, the front of the plane, the back of the plane. And they can pull the ripcord anytime they want. And they can go to Twitter and they can put a graphic up and say, my plan is to enter the portal at the end of the season. And if it were right now, they don't even miss a year of eligibility because they can take a red shirt. So that mentality has changed a lot. I'm not saying that that's solely responsible for this, but it is making things a lot more complicated now. You can't build a roster the way that Nick Saban did anymore. It is not possible. The guy invented gray shirting and blue shirting. I mean, he was ahead of the curve in every sense almost in how to build a roster and build a team and collect talent. And you can't do that anymore. And they're not able to be coached the way that they were. Yes, there's some entitlement that's at play. And like Roman made a great point last night when we were talking about this back and forth. He's like, his take was like, so many guys are worried about their followers and their likes and how many follow them on TikTok and this whole deal. And he's like, what they don't realize is if they weren't playing football in Alabama or Georgia or Florida, 80% of those people would be following them anyway, no matter how entertaining it is that they're doing. They wouldn't care about you. And it's not coming full circle by them caring about the brand that they're representing. So you're getting all of this because you're affiliated with that, but you're not putting everything back into that because of the affiliation. And that's causing a disconnect at a lot of places. It's hard to manage. I think it's an interesting point that people need to think about. I think it was Hastings that said it, maybe Greg's the one that brought it up, that the Washington kids don't have these questions. We're not asking these questions about Jeremy Bernard, Parker Brailsford. So is it the coaches? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know who's to blame. I don't know where to point a finger individually because I think it's collective. And there will be people that will tweet in, that will call in, that will say, well, you guys are just pumping sunshine for the coaches. You guys are always going to take the coaches back. I will go to my grave saying this. There is not a coach in NAIA, Division III, the Indoor Football League, the ELF League of Football, the NFL, the SEC, the Big Ten, that coaches kids not to try hard. There's not a single one anywhere. Not at Homewood High School, not at Bumpus Middle School. Nowhere is there a coach that says, you know what, guys, just do it half speed. Hey, I would prefer it if you didn't knock the expletive out of him when he's trying to block you. You know what? Turn your back to him and just cower down and don't even attempt to find the football. So you could say it's coaching all you want. And like, I hate to be a jerk, and I never like to play the I played football, you didn't card. But the guy called in like 3 callers ago, this defensive scheme. I said, I just want to say, what scheme was incorrect? because there were guys in position to make plays. Now, there was a couple receivers open. Yeah. There was a back out of the backfield open. Yes. Was it 4th and 1 and the linebackers one-on-one with the running back in the hole? I'm not blaming Kane Womack on that. He's there. So it's like Greg said, whether it's a team meeting, whether it's a hard look in the mirror, whether it's a conversation with friends, all those things have to happen. All of them probably. And you have to make sure you have the right kind of people that are leading them or they can get out of hand in a hurry. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 9:38 right here on Jox. Tuesday, September the 2nd. Couple calls still out there. Get to some tweets, maybe your feedback on what Alabama can do to change your opinion on them coming up this weekend. First, Craig, tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Well, Wes and the guys met to my house for a million different reasons. They've always done an incredible job of making sure that the job was done correctly and making sure that everything in the house is taken care of before they leave. They've now added plumbing to their incredible repertoire of services. They've been great from an electrical standpoint for a long time, helping me out with that. And the HVAC system that they do, the checks they do, the installs they do, the adjustments they do are just off the charts good. I've been using them for years and won't change because I've just had such a great experience every single time. I've worked with Polar Bear Services. Go and check it out today. Wes and the guys do an incredible job. I think you'll be very, very pleased with the experience you get. And remember, if you ever have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. That's 497-BEAR.
All right, back to the Higginbotham hotline. Mike is in Texas, wants to talk Alabama. Welcome in, Mike. Mikey.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, well, first off, Cubelic, grad, but I love what you do on TV last season when you break down plays. I've learned so much from watching you and your show. I just want to give you props. Love what you're doing there.
Thank you. We were back last night. First episode, season 3. Go find it.
I'm excited. All right, so here's my question about when it comes to NIL and the transfer portal. Number one, I agree with you guys. Something needs to be done with NIL. I think that the rule, the intent was good. There's no reason college players shouldn't get paid for their name and image like this. Heck, Johnny Manziel, if someone wants to pay him for his autograph, he should have been able to get paid. And I think we can agree with that. It also helps things like women's soccer, for example. You know, we have where I teach now, girls will go out there and put a soccer clinic in the summer. People can pay them, and they can make money for their talent. I think that's great. It has gone out of hand. But when it comes to the transfer portal, this is one thing I wanted to put out there for you guys to consider. We talk about the student athletes and how whether or not they have these parachutes, like you said, and they can jump around. But let's go back before they had the transfer portal when it comes to coaches' contracts, right? Coaches have always had this luxury of if they did a good job, then they got to leave a school even though they were under contract. So how's that different than a student athlete who does a good job at a school and then wants to transfer to a bigger program? Or likewise, if a coach did a subpar job and the school wanted to get rid of him, they could fire him, pay him out, and then he could get another job. So I just want to hear your thoughts on how those two align when we compare student athletes with coaches, and who coaches have basically had a paid transfer portal.
Coaches can't leverage other jobs in the middle of a season. That's the difference. And honestly, they're not. I understand what you're saying, and I've heard this argument 1,000 times. One's a professional adult, another is an 18 to 22-year-old kid. The rules for my children are different than the rules I have for myself. I hate to break it to you. It's different. So, and I understand, I kind of understand probably exactly where you fall in a lot of issues. I get that. That's fine. We can agree to disagree. But the players have all the power right now because they can quite literally say, I'm not playing this weekend unless you pay me X. The coaches can't go to their AD and say, yep, I'm not coaching this weekend unless you give me a raise right this second. I'm going in the portal. The coach can't say mid-season, you know what? Yep, it's been 4 games. I'll redshirt. I'm going to go coach LSU next year. It doesn't work that way. Like, the coaches have certain clauses within their contract that force them to do the things that the players have the freedom to do. Now, the good news is with the rev share model now being adopted, it's beneficial for the players. They get more money in some cases. It's also good news because guess what? You don't go to class, you get fined. You don't play well, you get fined. You don't run routes well, you get fined. Like, there are actual financial ramifications to allowing guys or forcing guys to play to a level of expectation. You're getting paid X, you better produce X. And if you don't, guess what? We're coming for your money. And that, I think, will hopefully, but this is year 1. And honestly, it'll probably start next year. But it's going to take a little time for that to transition in.
So there are a lot of different ways we can look at this. There are a lot of different things that we can take into consideration. But like you said, Greg, most folks have said there's nothing they can do this weekend to change their opinion. If I see people take the fight to the opposition on a regular basis for 4 quarters, if I see speed to the football, intensity to the football, finish on blocks on offense for 4 quarters, I see quarterback clean a couple of things up because I'm with you. I thought he played a pretty good game, but there are things there that can be cleaned up. A couple decisions, footwork can be cleaned up just a little bit. You see receivers running crisp routes, wanting to finish routes, attacking footballs instead of maybeing footballs. I think I would feel better about this team in general. You want to see improvement week to week, right? I mean, Coach Saban said it last night. I heard him before the game. He said every team in the country has the chance to make the biggest improvement week 1 to week 2. And if he's saying that, then I think it's possible and I think it's feasible. And just because it's ULM doesn't mean that there are things that can't happen that won't allow me to change my opinion on this team. We said for a couple weeks now we're going to try not to be overly definitive weeks 1, 2, 3, 4 because we don't know really anything about any of these teams. And some maybe we feel a lot better about, some we feel worse about. We don't really know. But if I get intensity and I get fight and I get alphas that look like they're running the show, I would absolutely feel better about this team moving ahead.
All right, there's plenty to watch for this weekend. Because guess what? It should be a game, and I'm not saying it will be, because every game to me is one that which I want to value not what they do, but what they're capable of. I'm watching effort and finish this week. That's all I care about seeing. Regardless, they could be in a dogfight in the fourth quarter, but if they're playing their tails off and finishing every play, I'll be pumped. I'll take it one step further, and let's be real, I don't think they'll lose the game. But if they are playing their hearts out and lose, I will feel better about the long-term prospects of this team. Because at least that's improvement. If you get beat, you get beat. It happens. Guess what? They're not going to lose to ULM. I don't see it happening that way. So hear me when I say this. I don't see it happening that way. All I'm watching is effort and performance. I don't care about production. I don't care about stats. I care about how hard you play and how much violence you inflict. If you can do those two things, that'd be massive progress.
I would agree. All right, let's get to a break. Come back. On the other side, we'll give you a bad box score of the day, wrap up a Tuesday edition of Mac and Q. Before we do that, though, G-Mac, tell our listeners about Crocker Moving Services.
Well, they're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys, and you can trust them in your home. Whether you need your whole home backed up, move your company headquarters into across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room, these guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you purchase and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
All right, we will give you a bad box score of the day. A couple more thoughts on Alabama heading into this weekend next, right here on Jox. Wow, there Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We'll finish up with possibly some tweets from you, a few calls from you, 800-239-9569. Bad box score of the day as well. There's a reason Auburn Athletics hand-selected Andrew Sports Medicine's Dr. Benton Emblem and Dr. Charles Pitts to serve as their team physicians. They provide the highest quality of sports medicine care in an effort to keep the Tiger student-athletes safe, healthy, and competing at the highest level. If Andrew Sports Medicine is a choice for Auburn, there's no doubt they should be your family's number one choice for sports medicine and orthopedic care. Andrew Sports Medicine has 7 locations across central Alabama, from Birmingham, Coleman, Gardendale, Hoover, Pelham, and Trussville. They offer same-day, next-day appointments for acute sports injuries. Visit andrewsportsmedicine.com today to begin your journey of achieving victory over injury. All right, let's get to a bad box score of the day quickly before we get out of here on a Tuesday. Don't know if you guys saw what the BYU
Cougars
did to the Portland State
Vikings.
Correct. 69-0.
That's not nice.
Put 14 in the first quarter, put up 35 points in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Only 6 and 14 in the second half. So Kalani Sitake, we know, not a good football coach.
Yep,
Can't be. Can't be a good football coach if you don't score more in the second half than the first half. Passing, it wasn't a lot to brag about for either team. C.J. Jordan and Tyree Smith combined to go 10 of 20 for 56 yards for the Vikings.
It's not ideal.
It's not exactly what you had hoped for. 3 quarterbacks combined to go 12 of 18 for 138, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions for BYU.
Okay.
The real problems began on the ground, where Portland State ran 22 times for
14 yards.
48 yards.
31.
minus 3 yards.
Oh
boy.
Sack.
Oh, boy.
22 for minus 3. They did have a long of 18. So I guess that's the one positive you hang your hat on there.
Okay.
We're not going from like triple dig to negative dig. I'll just say that.
Well, on the other side is where it became overly problematic, where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 BYU players carried the ball more than once.
Okay, depth.
To the tune of 48 carries for 468 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns for the BYU Cougars in this bad box score of the day. Your first down differential, only 28-3. Your third downs, 6 of 10 for BYU. Portland State got 1 on 13 tries.
That's where they got them.
I feel like there's a lot of places they got them. That just happens to be one that they got them bad. Your total yardage differential, 606 to 53.
That's brutal.
That's what this segment was made for.
That's brutal.
Right there. Goodness gracious.
Not to
BYU 69, Portland State 0, your bad box score of the day. Greg, tell our listeners about Shannara Flooring.
Shannara Flooring's great, but Bear Bachmeyer, the GOAT, that's all I need to know.
Not yet. 7 of 11, 97 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Not bad. It's not bad. 30% touchdown clip.
Good day at the office.
They only ran 5 times for 32 yards and 2 touchdowns, though. I need a little more on the ground.
Yeah, that's definitely
5 total touchdowns. It's average. But
Not
when
bad
when
on
your
like
team
16
scores
attempts.
21 touchdowns, I expect you to get more than 5.
Makes perfect sense. Shannara Flooring's great. They have a ton of Core-Tech flooring by Shaw in stock right now. 40,000 square feet of that flooring in stock. You'll understand what I'm talking about when you go and check it out for yourself. It's beautiful, dependable, durable, waterproof, pet-proof. It's going to upgrade your home or business if you install that Core-Tech flooring by Shaw. And because of how much they have in their inventory, you can get $10 off per box. That's $10 off per box. You can really stack some savings. Go and check them out at fooandyou.com. You can get 12 months financing, $10 off per box, and now is a great time to go to fooandyou.com and work with Shannara Flooring.
Greg, I asked this question earlier, didn't really get your thoughts on it, and I think most people, when they answer it, don't really think about all parts of it. If I asked you on Wednesday versus today, more or less teams that you believe can win a national championship, would you say you think there were more going into the season that you thought, or do you think there are more now that can win a national championship?
More going into the season.
Yeah, see, I'm with you. I think there may be fewer teams that can win a national title.
Like I'm not there with Clemson right now.
Kind of tough to
after what
be.
I saw this past weekend. I would have thought they could for sure. I'm not there with Alabama right now. I would have thought they could for sure going into the season. So that's two right there that I would put on the outside looking in, barring some tremendous turnaround or improvement. So
some people may have thought Texas A&M could. I think that they didn't look great. There were some parts that looked good, but yeah, not.
But I mean, it's hard to tell because they actually played a team with the pulse. You know, like A&M actually. I mean, they're playing a proud team in state that that'll go to a bowl game. So I'm not maybe going to press the panic button as much with them. Like, we'll learn a lot about them in a week or two when they take on Notre Dame and what could be a gotta-have-it game for Notre Dame.
Yeah, I would agree. All right. Tell our listeners about ProLift before we get out of here.
Well, ProLift and the Garage Door Service Company is amazing. 5-star Google reviews all over the place as a result. They are locally owned and operated. They work on existing garage doors. They can repair them, and they can install new ones if that's the direction you like to go. Now, ProLift is not a brand. They work on all brands. The name is ProLift, but they're not a brand. So they can work on LiftMaster and all these other great garage door brands that you have. So if you have some slow response times, some noises, some vibrations, call right now for a maintenance service. ProLiftDoors.com. That's ProLiftDoors.com. ProLift Garage Doors, lifting your expectations.
All right, tomorrow we've got Trent Dilfer, Paul Feinbaum, Harry Greenstein, all joining the show. We'll continue talking to Alabama heading into ULM.